Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, and all that sorts of good stuff. And you can't be talking about good stuff without the jelly bean of joy himself. I just made that up on the spot. I have no idea what that means. Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, ladies and gentlemen.
Great. I get to go to Comic-Con with that hung around my neck. Every panel I'm on, you know, the jelly bean of joy. As long as they are jelly bellies.
As long as they are jelly bellies. And, you know, continuing down this deep pack of jelly beans of joy we're joined today by Nerdwire on YouTube's. We are joined by Kris Carr. Kris, how are you doing? Thanks so much for being here.
I'm great. I'm sad I don't have a jelly bean nickname, but I'm new. So hopefully I'll get to be a delicious, sweet at some point.
I got to tell you something. Mm-hmm. I watched one of your videos just last night. Oh, no. I was watching one of your videos. They had some stupid amount of views on it. Uh-huh. It was where you were explaining the bending styles in Last Airbender.
Yeah, sub-bending.
And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, I had no idea this, because I'm not huge into anime myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, besides Space Battleship Yamato or whatever, but so I'm watching this. Oh, this is why people are so into this stuff. Mm-hmm. That mythology in that, total side note, the mythology of Airbender is like really a lot deeper than I thought it was.
It's insane. It is so dense and there's so much stuff there, and there's constantly new fan theories too, which is why it's been off the air for 10 years and people are still talking about it all the time. And now with the new live action one coming out too, you've got everyone all Twitter-pated about it. So.
Yeah, but the question is, can it possibly top the M. Night, masterpiece?
Oh.
That's what everybody's going to be talking about, of course. But listen, guys, we do have a lot of main things we need to talk about here today. Some big topics to get to, including the main ones that you guys submit. But before we get to those, let's go right off the top with this. Now, a while ago, a lot of people got very excited by the news that Henry Cavill, Superman himself, had been cast as the lead character in the upcoming Witcher series on Netflix. I completely forgot. I still had it in my head that it was coming out in 2020, maybe 2021. It's coming out this year, which I totally forgot about, and I was reminded of that like a week or two ago. Well, now, pursuant to that, Netflix has jumped on social media and shared the first official poster for the upcoming The Witcher, and we get our kind of a behind-the-scenes look, if you will, at Henry Cavill in the lead role there, giving us our first look. We get a little glimpse of you see up there in the corner, we got a little bit of a look of the logo in there, the emblem, all that kind of stuff. And Rob, here's why this gets me a little bit excited, is because it's
Don't even say.
It's the word again. No, it's the tangibilization. It's the tangibilization, because I'm telling you, up until now, this whole Witcher thing has been theory. The Witcher thing has been total theory. It's the theory of it. Yeah, okay, we heard that this is happening. We've even heard that maybe they're shooting. But now we've actually got a poster. And I have a feeling now that a poster is dropped, we're probably, I'd say Comic-Con at the latest, we're actually going to get our release date. And I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked at all if they come out of nowhere on the day of Comic-Con and just say, by the way, guys, The Witcher releases today. On I won't be surprised at all, because we've seen Netflix have a pattern before of saying, like, we knew a Punisher season 2 was coming, and when's it coming, and then all of a sudden announcement, in 9 days, Punisher's dropping. It's like, what? So I won't be shocked if we get to Comic-Con and all of a sudden they get up on a stage and say, by the way, right now, open your phones, go ahead, open your Netflix app, it's available right now, and pull something like that, or at the very least, we'll get a release date. Rob, you've seen this poster. What do you think about the image? And how are you gauging excitement level for people surrounding the whole Witcher phenomenon right now?
Well, first of all, New York Pride weekend was this past weekend, so I think this poster perfectly was good for being released when it was released, because I think it's a damn sexy poster, frankly.
It's a sexy poster.
And that is one big sword. But I think that for what you're saying, Netflix is crushing it in terms of giving us genre material we want. We got Dark Crystal, which I can't even believe is coming out. You've got Witcher, and I don't disagree with you. I think that they might pull like what they did with Cloverfield Paradox, although I think Witcher is going to be better. They could absolutely drop it at Comic-Con or do something big. And then, of course, this weekend's announcement, why it came out on the weekend, I don't know. The biggest announcement for me in the universe, that they're doing a Sandman TV series. I mean, Netflix is crushing it. I think they're teeing themselves up because they know they've got the juggernaut of Disney Plus coming right the barrel. I mean, between doing things like putting out the new Evangelion, and even though that, look, I'm not down with the new soundtrack either necessarily, and Fly Me to the Moon, what's up with that? But that's a different show. They're crushing it, and Netflix, if they drop Witcher, I could see them, if not the whole series, then maybe the pilot or something. You might be right.
Let me ask you, Kris. I mean, you've had a chance to take a look at this poster now and the thing coming. You've got, I mean, I know your household has some fandom surrounding the witch and stuff like that. What do you think about the image?
I mean, the biggest travesty right here was this cropped out, the best part of the poster, with that booty. So,
well, no. If you take a look.
There we go. The first time I was like, where's that butt? Coming after Captain America. He's trying to be Europe's ass. It's nice.
He's Europe's ass.
So in our household, my husband loves The Witcher. He is obsessed with it. I have been watching all the cinematics when he plays and everything. And we've been a hashtag not my drug. And this poster makes me feel a little better, as well as the other images that have come out, because Henry's so pretty and clean. And in these images, we've seen him all scruffed up. We've seen him looking more and more like that character. So I feel better, and I'm holding off judgment. I think I still really wanted Mads Mikkelsen for this. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that theory.
I think he looks so much like that character. Throw some white hair on him, I think, oh my gosh, what a wonderful job he would do. He's also incredible at everything he does. But I feel better about this now. I feel more confident. And like Rob was saying, Netflix is really doing amazing work right now. And now that they've, canceled Good Omens, I'm glad that they're really working to get back on track.
Wait a minute, did they cancel Good Omens?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Oh, it's been such a
did, man. Netflix just came out and said, you know what, you're right.
Well, yes, the Netflix Amazon. Yeah, but I thought you were dead serious here for a second. Well, listen, guys, main question here is for you guys at home. Have you seen this poster? Now, granted, it is just a poster, but to me, again, the thing about getting excited, it's a physical, it's actually something tangible that we have now that this show is coming. What do you think about it? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, let's move on to a second off the top thing here, and that's this. Just this morning, a couple things came with the new Jumanji movie. Number one, we got our title. Jumanji: The Next Level, which actually is a freaking brilliant title. I didn't like it at first. I first, Jumanji: The Next Level, like we're taking, oh no, this is the video game thing, The Next Level. Brilliant. Love the title of it. And of course, they dropped the trailer for it. They've done some things that if you had told me in advance, I'm going to admit, I don't think I would have been for. I really did want to see all the kids come back in their same avatars. I really did. There was some people suggesting that maybe the kids would switch avatars and stuff like that. Totally fine, but whatever. But I still really want to see that main thing. If you had told me that The Rock would now be inhabited by Danny DeVito, and that Danny Glover was also going to be one of them, and only the redhead girl was still going to be in Karen Gillian's body, and the football player would take over Jack Black's body, blah, blah, I probably would have said that doesn't sound good to me. I'm going to admit, I would have said that doesn't sound any good to me. But then I watched the trailer, and you know what? I loved it. I did. I really, really loved it. I still struggle. My brain is having a little bit of a battle right now, Rob, because I'm still struggling a little bit with the theory of, Danny DeVito being in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But I'll tell you what, I thought Kevin Smith does a great Danny Glover. And did I say Kevin Smith, or did I said
you did.
I did, didn't I? Anyway,
He might.
Kevin Hart. I think Kevin Hart does a great Danny Glover, and Dwayne Johnson did a great Danny DeVito. And so, you know what? The theory of it is still a struggle for me. But the proof is in the pudding. I watched the trailer. I really did enjoy it, I got to say. So count me as a thumbs up for this one. I liked it. What did you think about the new trailer?
Well, as we've always talked about on this show, if you can reinvent a concept, but then still be able to hang on to what the core of it was that made it fun,
right?
I think this is a perfect example of that. Like, I didn't know anything about this. I knew that they were making a third Jumanji movie. I knew that, but I didn't know that they were changing it up this way. I think the idea of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Danny DeVito, I mean, that's an irresistible combination. It reminded me of Twins. Obviously,
I love it, yeah.
In the sense that, how is that going to work? It was hilarious. I remember when Twins came out. It's not the best movie in the world, but that dynamic was really funny, and it made the movie work. And I'm sure that's where it was inspired by that. But I think how delightful this is going to be. My interest in seeing this movie, I mean, the Jumanji franchise was never something that was necessarily on the top of my must-see meter. But this, I'll watch this. I mean, this trailer, I'm like, okay, this won me over immediately.
Kris, you had a chance to take a look at this trailer. What was your first impression of it?
I was so excited about Danny DeVito. My friend and I got matching Danny DeVito t-shirts yesterday, so this felt so serendipitous.
Did you seriously do that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I will wear this yellow Danny DeVito t-shirt next time I'm on.
I've got to see pictures of that.
Excited.
I've got to see pictures of that.
But I love him so much, and so I got really excited about this. And like Rob was saying, I think that's such a funny juxtaposition of having The Rock nailing that dialect, by the way, nailing how Danny talks.
Yes, he does.
And really bringing it home. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And I like the idea of Karen kind of being the straight character in all of this.
The one anchor from the previous one.
Just trying to figure it all out. And it makes so much sense for her character, who was so grounded, who was so logical, to be the one who still made it into her own body and have to deal with all that chaos. So I think it's going to work out really well, and I'm super in.
All right, guys. The question is, what do you think about this new Jumanji trailer? As a matter of fact, this is our question of the day for you guys. Our question of the day for you guys is simply this. Very simple. What do you guys think of the new trailer? Jump on over to my Twitter account and you can see right there, the very top thing is about the Jumanji thing. You can vote. You liked it, you didn't like it, you're still not sure. I put up this poll about 20 minutes before the show started, I think. And right now, about 800 of you have cast a vote. 62% of you are saying that you liked it, 9% are saying that you did not like it, and 29% of you are saying right now that you're still not sure. And it is a shift. It's a paradigm shift for this. Danny DeVito's in the body. Danny Glover's in the body. It's something that we're going to have to get used to. So go ahead, jump over there and cast your vote. I'm going to leave that poll up for a couple of hours now. Okay, with that down and out of the way, guys, let's go over to our main topics of the day. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys select our main topics by going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you're there, just make sure you fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question mentioned here on the John Campea Show. With that down and out of the way, Kris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic is going to come from Valerie K., who says, "Hi, John. I just read something that really surprised me. So Aladdin, which I loved, by the way, has just become the biggest hit of Will Smith's career. It's weird to think of it like that because, one, no one thought it would be that big, but also, two, Will Smith has had so many big hits in his career that you'd think one would be bigger. What do you think about this?" I had to triple check this because I thought there was no way that was true. This is Will Smith's biggest career maker right now. What do you think about that? How is that possible?
I know it is really weird, and I think it crossed the threshold on Friday. When you do sit back and think about the career of Will Smith, he was the last guy that you could say was the truly bankable movie star. There was, and that hasn't been for a number of years, but you know, there was a stretch of time when just put Will Smith in a movie and you're pretty much assured you're going to make money with the movie. Now, today that doesn't exist. Sure, you put Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in your movie, it guarantees it'll make more money than it would without him, but we've seen Dwayne Johnson put out a couple of movies that don't exactly draw in big numbers at the box office either, so that day's gone, but Will Smith was one of them. And to see a movie like Aladdin that isn't even at $900 million. Huge, massive hit, approaching $900 million. But still, you just think that there were bigger ones. But when you put it into perspective, it's true. When you look at actually now what are the biggest hits of Will Smith's illustrious career. Number one is Aladdin. It does look like it's going to cross that $900 million mark probably by the end of next weekend. It's sitting at $874 million as his biggest hit ever, passing a film that has sat at the top of his list since 1996, Independence Day, which made $817 million, followed by Suicide Squad in 2016 with $746 million. Hancock, which by the way, where is that sequel? 208 film making $624 million, and Men in Black 3 in 2012 that made $589 million. It is crazy when you're thinking about it, but yeah, especially when there was a lot of skepticism going into Aladdin. A lot of people hated the first look at the genie. A bunch of people were still unsure about Will Smith's casting in the role. I was always behind his casting in the role, but yeah, I thought he looked a little Ghibli in the first pieces of footage. I wasn't thrilled with it myself either, but I tell you, I really like this movie. I think it deserves a lot better than it's getting, even though it's approaching $900 million. Now, Will Smith is also very cognizant of the fact that this is now his biggest film. The dude is now 50 years old. And he took to social media and put out a really nice little post. And he said this. Smith said the following. This is a post that I'm just humbled and honored to make right now. Today, Aladdin just passed Independence Day as the highest grossing film of my entire career. To be in this game as long as I've been in this game and to have my biggest movie at this point in my career, I just want to say thank you. Which is awesome because you think about it now, Rob, I still think a lot of us, we think of Will Smith and we think of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's still that young guy. He's 50 years old. He's a veteran in this business. He's been around a while. And just now, since 1996, the biggest film of his career. Number one, what do you think this says about, the legacy of Will Smith? How does this affect the overall, 25 years from now as we're looking back on the career of Will Smith and all that kind of stuff? And are you surprised, like a lot of people are, hearing that Aladdin is now the biggest film he's ever had in his career?
When I first think about Will Smith, I think about parents just don't understand. I really do. That was the first time I remember that video because that was when hip hop was all funny. It was all these funny and then he became a TV star and then suddenly he's in movies and of course Independence Day, dude, that was 23 years ago. I mean, you think, and I remember when Independence Day came out, the ad campaign was just perfection and it was the most exciting thing going when it came out. And people that have career longevity is because people reinvent themselves. They do different things. They don't just rest on their laurels. Here's a guy who's been hitting it hard since he was a teenager. And he's really, I think he deserves all the success he can get. I mean, this is exactly what an American success story is. He's reinvented himself first. He was a recording star. There's really interesting stories. You can go see him tell the story about how he went from being a recording star to how he became on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's a great story. It's a YouTube video that he made. You should watch it. It's great. And then to see him, he made some really interesting choices. He worked with Michael Mann in Ali. I mean, he's done some great
now he's
great
singing
work.
Prince Ali. Yeah, it's great.
And I think he understands. I mean, that was a thankless role to take. I mean, the potential for abject failure by making Aladdin was certainly high. And that was a
how
big.
dare you take over a role from Robin Williams?
Big risk. And but he knew. He knew. And when we were at CinemaCon, you and I were like dubious. We're sitting there like, we're not going to. We see that clip and we're like, this works. We both knew it. We both turned to each other afterwards and we're like, that's going to work. And he knew it was going to work. So kudos to everybody involved.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you just nailed on something that we are kind of glossing over, and I'm so glad you brought it up, is that, look, actor, take a movie, but you're talking about an actor like Will Smith who can take a lot of roles. I'm sure he gets offered a lot of stuff at this point in his career. To take on an Aladdin, it's so dubious because everybody only thinks at the time you could only do Aladdin if you just take the voice track of Robin Williams and add his voice track to the live action. That's the only way this is going to work. And because it was a beloved thing from Robin Williams, understandably. One of the things I loved about this movie, and I just saw it for the second time on Friday night, and I went from really enjoying it to flat out loving it. I love this Aladdin movie. But one of the things that I really appreciated about it was that Will Smith did two very important things. Number one, he did not try to do a Robin Williams impression. He did his own incarnation of Genie, taking the spirit of Robin Williams' Genie, boisterous, flamboyant, extrovert, charismatic, all that kind of stuff, brought that to the role, but he did it in his own way. The second thing he did was he chose a couple of moments in the film to do very clear bows to Robin Williams. Whether it's the way he would say a certain thing, the way Robin Williams said it in the original and stuff like that. But he picked just a couple of spots to do it and it was perfect and made you feel all warm inside when he did it. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Rob, because that's a fabulous observation. Guys, listen, question is, you hear about this. This is now, Aladdin is Will Smith's biggest film in his career. It still doesn't even sound right. How does that strike you? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, Kris, what is our next main topic today?
All right, next we're going to hear from Unsaver, who says, well, F. Okay, I admit I was wrong. You and me debated online about Endgame this weekend, and you said it wouldn't crack 10 million, and I said it would minimum make 20 million. But seriously, I don't get it. With how great the movie is and how much press and excitement there was for this re-release, how did they only manage to get $5 million? It feels like something is off. Now, you've already been debating online, so I want to hear from Rob. What do you think happened here?
Well, everybody's seen it. You know, I mean, everybody has already run out and seen this film. It's one of the biggest movies obviously ever made. And, you know, I think they gave us a little bit something. They didn't give us enough. I didn't run out and see it, and I love this movie. I pre-ordered the Steelbook, the 4K Steelbook from Best Buy. I loved Endgame. I had no reason to go see this movie this weekend. They weren't going to show me something that wasn't on the Blu-ray, I would assume. And it just, if they had come out and said, everyone, we want to beat Avatar, and that was their program, and that was what they just flat out said, they would have rallied me. I'm like, I'm going to go do my part. I'd be like one of the soldiers in Starship Troopers. I'm going to do my part.
Be a citizen.
I just don't understand. They're going to throw out, I thought it was an advertisement for the Blu-ray, and $5 million, by the way, nothing to sneeze at. For them to get that kind of a box office boost, I think was great. But at the end of the day, I thought it was just too little too late. Everybody's seeing the movie.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, again, to beat a dead horse, this isn't a re-release, okay? I just hate the fact that people have been using that term. It's not a re-release. It's still in release to this day. That aside, Rob, you touched on a couple of really important things there. Number one, everybody's seen the movie already. It's more than just everybody's seen the movie already, Rob, though. It's everybody's seen the movie 4 effing times.
Right.
That's the thing.
Including you and I.
Including us. There's a reason this film sits at over $2.7 billion because everybody hasn't seen it once. Everybody's seen it twice, thrice, quattro. Everybody's gone to see this thing multiple times. It's been in the theater for weeks. It's a very front-end heavy movie, which is a good thing because it's a big event film and all that kind of stuff. And the second thing, you were bang on the money. They didn't give people enough incentive to come back. I'm sorry, but a 30-second unfinished effects meaningless Hulk scene? That's not enough to get me to come back. An introduction from the director? They put that at the front of a lot of regular movie screenings now these days. That's not a reason to go back. A tribute to Stan Lee, that's something special. But on top of that, all this stuff is going to be available to us in just 4 weeks when the home video release comes out. It's all going to be there. And the fact of the matter is, you know, re-releases today are not like they were before. And again, this wasn't even a re-release. But even if you want to talk in terms of re-releases, you know, back in the day when, you know, Avatar would get a re-release or when Jurassic Park would get a re-release, you're talking about something that hadn't been in theaters for a year, or in Jurassic Park's terms, like over a decade or whatever. And it wasn't in an era when everybody right now has the ability to just sit at home and just click on a button on the Google Play Store and watch it at home right now. They don't need you to put it back out in theaters to go out and see it again. And that has changed a bit. There are still movies I would want to see on the big screen again for sure. So I just remembered I would shake my head because there were people, Rob, you saw it, screaming at us that you don't know anything. Avengers is going to be #1 at the box office again. It's going to make minimum 20, probably 30, blah, 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 blah. It's like, look, it made 5.5. And to your point, Rob, and I'm glad you mentioned it, that's not bad.
I'm like, I'd love to make a movie that made $5.5 million this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not bad. It is what it is. But again, it is what it is. Now, this still, I believe, leaves Avengers Endgame about 20 million short of the record. It's still, I don't know. Can you see it still crossing the Avatar record at this point? I don't right now. I can't see how it gets 20 million
Well, you
more.
can just leave it in theaters and just until it does.
But
it might take till Christmas.
But are theaters going to keep that
No.
on their screens with
No.
nobody coming?
No, and I think, look, you know what? It's Spider-Man week, dude. It's Spider-Man week. Avengers Endgame. I keep reposing my Iron Spider Hot Toys figure just because it's cool. But really, I'm all about Spider-Man Far From Home this week. That's it. That's all. That's they're releasing another Spider-Man figure. I pre-ordered my Spider-Man Noir, the black figure that Hot Toys is putting out. I mean, come on, where's the Mysterio Hot Toy figure from Hot Toys? I want that figure. Jake Gyllenhaal, I got a man crush on that dude in that Mysterio suit with that beard. Come on. It's all about Far From Home, and no one is going to go see. I love Endgame. You and I both saw it 4 times. I can't wait to watch it at home incessantly. Just to have have it on just so I can walk into a room and Endgame's playing. But no one's going to go see it again in theaters to make it go past $20 million.
Yeah, and that's probably where we're sitting at right now. Well, guys, what do you think? You saw the results of Endgame. I believe it came in 7th in the box office this weekend. Still, for a movie in its 9th or 10th week. Hey, listen, you tell me someday I'm going to make a movie where in its 9th or 10th week, it's still pulling in $5.5 million. I'm popping bottles. But what do you guys think? Were you surprised by the results? Did you not? Do you still think it's got enough legs to actually catch Avatar at this point? Jump down to the conversation and leave your thoughts there. All right, with that down and out of the way, Kris, what is our third main topic today?
All right, next we're hearing from Vic Race. Wow. With an over 100 million opening for Toy Story 4, I kind of thought it would take a bigger drop in the second weekend, but it only dropped like 52% and easily took the #1 spot at the box office again. Why do you think Toy Story 4 is holding so strong when other big films take a bit bigger of a second weekend drop? Love the show and hashtag bring on the filthy. So, first of all, incorporate Bring on the Filthy with Toy Story 4. But why do you think it's doing so well?
Yeah, I mean, look, we talk about this on the show quite often, is that when a film opens really big, like north of $100 million, don't be surprised to see it take bigger than that average 50% drop. Because normally we say a healthy drop is like in that 50-55% range. That's a healthy drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2. However, if a movie opens to $90 million or north of $100 million, getting close to $120 million, something like Avengers Endgame at $357 million, don't think it's a bad drop if suddenly you see 60% drop, 62% drop, because a big opening weekend means a lot of people already went to go see it. They didn't need to wait around, so don't be surprised. So I'll tell you what, I was expecting more of a drop from Toy Story than 52%. I wasn't expecting a 60% drop, but at 52%, that's pretty good. So look, let's just go over and let's review. Let's take a look at the box office from this weekend. Toy Story 4 on its second weekend makes $57.9 million. Again, as Kris was already saying, that's only a 52% drop for Toy Story 4. It continues on motoring. And it's in its second weekend against two opening week films, with Annabelle Comes Home making $20.3 million. Again, in our Avengers Endgame world, that sounds like nothing. In a world where, like I said, Blumhouse, Productions, Bloom comes over to my place, says hello, starts rummaging through my couch, and whatever change he finds, that's the budget for his movie. $20.3 million is pretty damn good. Believe me, they're celebrating over there. Yesterday opened at $17 million, coming in fourth place. Aladdin in its sixth week, still hanging on to the number 4 spot with $9.3 million. And Secret Life of Pets 2 comes in at $7 million. I think there's a couple of reasons why it's holding strong, even after having a fairly large opening weekend there, Rob. And the first one is obvious. It's a fabulous movie. It's a fabulous movie. It is I'm not saying it's the best of the Toy Story franchise, but it is a movie worthy of the Toy Story franchise name. And you can I said in this on Open Mic the other day, you can take all 4 Toy Story movies and you could say your order from favorite to least favorite. You could put them in any order. And there's no order you could put these in that I would look at and go, that's not right. You could put them 1, 2, 3, 4. You could put them 3, 1, 2, 4. You could put 4, 3, 2. It doesn't matter. That's just how good and high quality these movies are, and they hang out. So number 1 is the quality. Number 2, you can't underestimate the power and the magic of a family-friendly film. This is Toy Story. These are now movies where people saw the first one as a kid, and now they're bringing their kids to come see it. And also, being a family film, it doesn't have as much of the new emphasis of people needing to see it opening weekend. Family films can be stretched out a little bit longer than that. So I think we can combine all those things. That kind of puts that as to why that happens. Anyway, Rob, you're seeing the success that Toy Stories have, and it's only having a 52% drop. What do you attribute it to?
Well, I think you said it all. One of the things you can't discount is the fact that, like you said, parents with kids don't always run out to the opening weekend of a film. It takes a while for parents. They got to plan things. They got to think, oh, I've got stuff going on. So you're going to see, I think the third week of Toy Story is also going to do quite well. It's the 4th of July.
Yeah.
You've got the 4th of July holiday weekend. I think a lot of people are looking for, how do you entertain those kiddies after the fireworks are over? You've got Toy Story in the theater. You got Spider-Man in the theater. It's going to be a gigantic 4th of July holiday weekend for Hollywood. I think it's good for everybody. And you're going to see Toy Story make ungodly sums of money this coming weekend as well. And that's because you have the family audience. And you're, like you said, you can also go see this movie again and again and again because people love Toy Story.
Kris, you had a chance to go and see Toy Story 4. You're looking at the success that it's having. And, some people thought it would have bigger success. Like some people thought 150 million opening, 170 million opening, had 120, still the biggest opening of the franchise. But now you're seeing this longevity for it. What do you attribute it to?
Well, everything kind of is underperforming right now. So there's kind of this perfect storm of Toy Story being in the right place at the right time. Because I know as a viewer, even if I'm like a casual moviegoer, I can depend on Pixar delivering something worthwhile for me to go see. So I know I'm going to go see a good movie, whether or not I'm super into the franchise. And that first movie came out in 95. I was in grade school. I have been raised with these toys. They feel like they're my toys. So of course I want to go see what the gang's up to. And like you guys were saying, if you have kids, then you get to introduce your kids to some of your best friends. And you have this wonderful, beautiful bonding experience. And if you're not making your mother-in-law happy like me, and you don't have kids, you just go anyway because it's wonderful. And it's such a good movie. I mean, without revealing anything really about it, it's got existential themes packaged into a children's film.
Yeah.
Any age is going to like this movie. It's so well done. And it feels like, I thought after seeing Toy Story 3 and thinking that was so perfect, Toy Story 4, I was worried it was going to have a exit through the gift shop feel. Like we were just doing it for Ducky Funkos, But it is a really beautiful conclusion. And I think it's definitely worth seeing. And I think it speaks to the merit of the storytelling that it is doing better than these other films.
John, there's going to be kids who get Forkies for Christmas this year, and they're going to like it. And that's amazing. It's
every stocking stuffer I'm giving. Just a spork.
I don't know. What do you think about the Forky? I think you're very handsome today, John. Thank you, Forky. You're so happy Canada Day. Well, thank you, Forky. It's amazing. And of course, it is Canada Day, everybody. So happy Canada Day to all my Canadian brethren watching this as well. So listen, guys, what do you guys think about that? What do you attribute like Toy Story being able to hang on, not just hang on, but dominantly hang on to the number one spot at the box office? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. Kris, what is our fourth main topic today?
Right now we're hearing from Alexander Krem, who says, "Hey everyone, Robocop is still my all-time favorite movie. No movie gets my blood pumping like it. Surprisingly, I sort of liked the remake, but it was nowhere near as good as the original. Anyway, I got excited today when I heard that Neill Blomkamp just said that the Robocop remake he's working on will be completely identical to the redesign of the original Robocop. I think this puts the movie in a really good place. What do you think?" So the design is going to be very similar to the original Robocop. Rob, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that puts it in a good place?
Well, it ain't going to have Peter Weller in it, so how close can it be to the original Robocop? No, look, I love Paul Verhoeven. He's one of my favorite directors. I loved Robocop, his second English language film after 85's Flesh and Blood. But do we need another Robocop? Look, I'm always the one saying it's all about story, it's all about character. And if you've got a great story and a great character, and I think we kind of live in the times that Robocop was doing a parody of in the original film.
Right.
I mean, we're there, people. It's 32 years later, and we are living in Robocop time right now. And it's crazy. So I'd be very curious if, and Neill Blomkamp, I really liked his first film, District 9, but he's been sort of hit and miss for me since then. But I think this requires, I think it's in his wheelhouse. I'm really interested to see how he sends up our culture now, because I think it's certainly ripe for send up. And what they did in the original Robocop, we can do it times 10 now. And I'll be very curious if he leans into the more satiristic aspects of the original Robocop and the sort of hell's-a-poppin' violence that, if you see the director's cut, are even more hell's-a-poppin' than the original. It's an unbelievable film, and if you adhere to that spirit, he might be able to come up with something very cool. And I'm hoping it's great.
Well,
but the costume, I mean, it is so iconic. Why change it?
One of the other things that Blomkamp said was, when you watch this film, you're going to feel like it's a Verhoeven film. He said that directly. He really wants to capture the imagination of that. I've got a couple of problems, though. Number one is Neill Blomkamp himself. Now, you already brought it up. The first film we saw from him, District 9, is not good. It's great. I love them. I believe it got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards the year it came out. Showing Hollywood you don't need to spend $200 million for a visual effects heavy film. I believe the budget on that movie was like $35 million or something stupid like that.
That's his background, VFX.
That is VFX, is his background, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately for somebody like me, his follow-up films were not hit and miss. They were miss and miss. So he did Elysium, which we were all very excited about. I did not like that film. He did Chappie. I did not like that film. He had the Alien thing coming, and eventually just never made it to see the light of day. And I'll tell you what, I don't think this film's going to get made. I don't think this movie's going to get made. I don't think it's going to get the final green light to go. I know they're developing it, and maybe there's a chance for it, but we just had a remake. And by the way, I thought the remake they did wasn't terrible. The one with Michael Keaton in it, I didn't think it was terrible. Was it in the same league as the original RoboCop? Obviously not, but I didn't think it was terrible, whatever. But we just had a remake. I think you asked the best question of all, Rob. Is really now the time for another one? And I'm not so sure it is. And I'll tell you what here too, going around the story about the original design of the RoboSuit and seeing some people get excited about that. Okay, that's cool and everything. You do realize though that making the design of the RoboCop suit exactly the way it was in the first one is not going to make this movie any better. Right?
32 years ago.
Yeah, you know it's not going to make the movie any better. Like, it might be cool that they do it, but if it's a bad script and a bad story and it's badly executed, that's all forgiven because the RoboCop design looks the same. It's not going to make the movie any better. So I'm approaching this from more of a skeptical point of view at this point. Hopefully it gets made. Hopefully it's fantastic. But I'm skeptical on both fronts on that right now. So I just don't know. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think, number one, that this movie's even ever going to see the light of day and actually get made? And if so, hey, do you think making sure that the design is exactly the same as the original will do more to get the interest of the audience out? Maybe it will. Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, let's move on to the final main topic today. Kris, what is our final main topic today?
This is coming from Terry G, who writes, I've been a big Dave Bautista fan ever since the WWE days, and I loved him in Guardians. Anyway, I was just wondering if you saw him casting a bunch of shade at the Fast and Furious franchise on social media. To me, I think he's totally justified in his comments, but right or wrong, isn't it a little risky to be throwing around insults at other film franchises when he's just trying to get big himself in the business? What say you all? So, what say you all?
Yeah, Okay, so for those of you who know what's going on, Dave Bautista, who let me set the groundwork for this, I love Dave Bautista. I get a big kick out of it. I find him very entertaining when he's on screen. He is limited as an actor, but when he's used within that range that he's in, and by the way, over the last few years, his range is expanding. But when he's used properly by a director in the right way, he can be incredibly fun to watch on screen. And I'm really looking forward to Uber. And you could or Stuber, I should say, you could never ask to meet a nicer, more humble guy in the business than Dave Bautista off camera. I've had the opportunity to meet with him a few times. He's just one of the most genuine, pleasant to be around guys I've ever seen in this business. I love this dude. I cheer every time I see him getting any sort of success. Hell, getting cast in Blade Runner 2049, getting cast in Dune. But this is great. I'm so happy for this guy. That said, you know, I can love a family member of mine or my best friend. If my best friend does something stupid, I'm going to say, buddy, what you just did was stupid. I'm still your best friend, but what you just did was stupid. What Dave Bautista just did was stupid. There's no way around it. And I'm not going to let the fact that I'm a huge fan of his shade that from the reality that he just did something incredibly dumb. Really, really dumb. Now, for those of you who don't know what's going on here, Dave Bautista was basically asked, you know, with somebody got on social media and basically the suggestion was, hey, with John Cena going to be in the Fast and Furious, what if you set up a John Cena and Dwayne The Rock Johnson's Fast and Furious spinoff and like a villain like a Dave Bautista? Wouldn't that be great? That's fun. That's a kind, nice thing to say. Dave Bautista decided to respond to this, though. And this is what Dave Bautista said. He said the following. Of course, the original message to him was, The Rock and John Cena will get a Fast and Furious spinoff also, and Dave Bautista will be the villain. And Dave decided to put a sick face and say, thank you for your consideration with a vomit symbol and then a hashtag, I'd rather do good films. Now, this piggybacks off of a comment that a lot of people just decided to overlook that he made a couple of months ago. We all kind of just skimmed over this and thought, oh, that was a little iffy to say. But a couple of months ago, he made this comment. This is, I think during Blade Runner press stuff, but he said, I want good roles. I don't care about Fast and the Furious or Bumblebee. That's not the kind of stardom I want. I want to be in Dune. I want to work with Denis Villeneuve. I want to work with Sam Mendes and Jodie Foster. I want to work with Academy Award winners. I'm proud to be a character actor. I want that respect and credibility and education. All right, Dwayne, or as I should say, Dave, you want an education? I'll give you an education. Shut up. Shut up. You ever see that, Step Brothers, that scene in Step Brothers where they're wearing the tuxedos and they're trying to interview with the lady at the same time she's trying to correct them on how they're saying, shut up, shut up, shut up. You're making yourself sound stupid. Shut up. Dave Bautista, shut up. You're making yourself sound stupid. And I say that in love because I'm a huge fan. Shut up. This is a stupid thing to do. You are still, I know you got Dune coming out. I know you got Stuber coming out, which I cannot wait to see. It looks hilarious. I know you got that, a spy girly thing, that other thing. That looks like it's going to be charming and great too. But you are still on a lower rung in Hollywood right now, trying to move your way up. And it is not only stupid to come out for no reason and unprovoked to start trash talking other professionals in this business who are just going out and making their films that, by the way, a hell of a lot of people love and adore and cherish. And for you, unprovoked, to come out here and just start spewing trash talk on them is probably the dumbest thing you've ever done. I thought it was great when you stood up to Disney for your friend James Gunn. I thought it was great that you did that. You were willing to say, I'm willing to sacrifice my career right now. I'm willing to walk away from this right now because it's the right thing to do to stand up for James Gunn. I appreciated that and I respected that. You were willing to throw your career away for that. But this is not the same thing. And there may be people right now who are tempted to say, well, I don't like the Fast and Furious movies, so I support what he said. No, it's still stupid. It doesn't matter if the Fast and Furious movies were the worst pieces of garbage ever made in the history of Hollywood. You got to understand what the business is you're in. And besides all that, Dave is an incredibly classy guy. For him to unprovoked just come out and start casting stuff around like this is completely unclassy, let alone the fact that it's stupid. And why burn bridges you don't have to burn? And great, right now, Dave, you get to work with guys like Denis Villeneuve and you get to be in a Dune. But it wasn't that long ago that you were doing Escape Plan 2 with Sly Stallone and whatever. I cannot fathom for the life of me that a guy who has been so level-headed about where he is in his career for so many years can suddenly come out for no reason at all, and trash talk Vin Diesel's property, trash talk one of the most successful film franchises ever, trash talk basically a John Cena, another guy who's in the same position that he is in, trying to move from professional wrestling into an acting career. I don't want to do Fast and the Furious and Bumblebee. Bumblebee was a freaking great movie, by the way. This is unimaginable. Rob, the only thing that I, as a guy who desperately loves Dave Bautista, can think would possibly make sense of any of this, if this is all trolling and we find out in 3 months Dave Bautista is indeed going to be in a Fast and the Furious movie and he's just setting something up. I'm not saying that's what's happening. But if it did, that would be brilliant and it would explain all of this and put it all in a good light. But I got to say, Rob, I think this is an absolutely moronic, brain-dead thing for this guy to do at this point. A guy who's on such a roll right now, a guy who's building a lot of goodwill in this business, a guy who's increasing the profile of his name, and a guy who is achieving his dream of actually being considered a legit guy to put in your movies, not just a novelty that James Gunn started with. You know what I mean? I can't imagine what's going through his head to do and say something this stupid. Anyway, I've gone off on that long enough. Rob, you hear this whole situation. What do you make of it?
I think you just said it. I think he was trolling. I think he's got think he's got Stuber coming out. I think it's the use of emoticons that pretty much sold. When I read this, I love the Fast and Furious franchise. By the way, justice for Han. And I think that if he didn't use those emoticons, the vomit emoticons, I would have been like, oh, he's being a dick. But those emoticons are kind of funny. Now, he's got Stuber coming out. It's in theaters very soon. He's talking about two men. He didn't say he talked about two guys that are wrestlers, just like he's a wrestler. So he was addressing them directly. He wasn't disparaging necessarily the Fast and the Furious franchise. And I think you might be right. I think there's going to be an announcement made that he is probably going to show up in one of these movies. I think that's exactly what he's doing. He knows how social media works. He saw what happened with James Gunn. I think he's having fun. He's a really smart guy. And like his comments earlier when he talked about, look, I understand he was, I don't know the context of that first interview, but I'm sure he was asked as a former wrestler. Now you've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and you've got John Cena, who are now part of huge box office franchises, and their clout in Hollywood is rising. I'm sure he was asked that, and I'll bet that even that first response was true because he's working with great people. But it's like this idea that, wrestlers, who are, by the way, performers as well, that they somehow are unworthy of Hollywood success. I mean, Dave Bautista strikes me as somebody, he works his ass off to get where he is. And I think that we will find out in the future that he was having a bit of fun.
I hope you're, because that's the only theory I've got at this point, because it just, there's nothing else to
He knows
me
what he's doing.
that makes logical sense. This guy is humble. Every time seriously, every time I've met with Dave Bautista, the overwhelming thing, I'll never forget the first time I actually got to sit down with him was during a press junket for Man with the Iron Fists. Remember that? Directed by RZA? Anyway, I had a chance to sit down with him at this bar. And it was one of the best conversations I've ever heard from a guy who's a Hollywood star now in movies. And he was just like, listen, I know I'm not the greatest actor in the world. And I know how lucky I am that I get these opportunities to come in here and learn from people and grow. And it was just one of the most refreshing things. And then when I met with him when he was doing Bond, again, he's just like saying, dude, I look in the mirror. I'm like, he's looking in the mirror. I'm in a James Bond movie. I am in a James Bond movie. Like, you've never met a humbler, nicer, sweet guy in this business than Dave Bautista. And I've loved every chance. And he did our, when we did our 24-hour hurricane typhoon relief marathon, he was the first guy to jump up and say, yeah, I'll contribute. I'll jump on and send in a video for it and give a greeting to everybody. I mean, he's just that type of guy. So him saying stuff like this, it just doesn't compute. It doesn't add up in my head. So there's only two options. One, he's lost his damn mind. And maybe in the last year or two, he's getting some success and he's just become that idiot that's just let success go to his head. Or the other option that I'm really hoping for is he is trolling us all in a big WWE style. And at some point, he's going to drop this wow bomb on us that he is indeed actually going to be a villain faster. That's the only thing to me that's going to make any of this make any sense.
Look who's in his tweets. Look who those are going to. Those are guys that he's known for years, and they probably love him too. I bet they're laughing their asses off.
Well, anyway, Kris, let me ask you, as somebody who is known online for having, a lot of Twitter feuds and being very discouraging and disparaging of other people's work. I'm just kidding, by the way. But you see this, you see this drama unfolding. What's your first take on it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there is evidence to back up y'all's trolling theory, because he tweeted back at someone who was talking about the Escape Plan 2 films, saying, I never said I did a bad film. I'm saying that helped me build an acting career. And
I never said I never did a bad film. Right.
Yeah. And then goes so far as to say acting in quotations.
Right.
So I think that also hopefully means that he's being playful. But I'm going to be so Southern about this. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And you really have to be careful about what you say when you're in this industry. I'm not going to be insane and pretend I'm on any echelon that's close to that. I voiced cats and topical creams. But I've gotten jobs not because I out Meryl Streeped everybody, but because I was point blank told I was nice and someone could deal with being around me for 12 hours.
Is that what got you the role in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animation?
What? Oh, in Ungo.
Yeah.
That one, I got a guy drunk when I was a bartender, and he was like, come do an audition for me. And then I did 12 animes with him.
That's
it was
funny.
great.
That's how you got this.
That's how I got this job.
Yeah, that's
I was
crazy.
like, hey, John, have a drink.
And I don't even drink.
Exactly. It didn't work out well. I just got drunk and then was like, let me be on your show. But I think you have to be really, really cognizant of that stuff. And, when I have to do reviews of other things, I have been pressured to drag vocal casts, to drag casting directors and directors. And one, I'm not going to do that because it's a hard job. Being in a booth is hard. Being on camera is hard. It's a really tricky job that everyone thinks they can do, but there's a reason only a few people do it. There's a reason why we have a handful of really talented people in these big franchises and doing well. And I also don't want to screw up my opportunity to blow a job interview and be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that voice cast just sucked hard. And then make it seem like I'm being salty and I think I'm better than other people. So if he is doing this and starting Twitter feuds just to be kind of an ass and feel good about himself, that's a horrible move. So fingers crossed he is trolling.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's just all gone to his head and now he's become suddenly very stupid? Or do you think maybe like Rob's theory that this is all a trolls thing, setting something up? This is a little bit of WWE showmanship coming down the line. What do you guys make of all this? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen. With all of that down and out of the way, it's now time for us to move into our live segments. Now, normally this is the part of the show where we have our movie news feed, but Jonathan gets back from his vacation today. I told him to take a break for today. The movie news feed will return tomorrow. So we're just going to dive right in and jump into our live questions. And we're going to start off on our live questions with this. The first live question that we're going to take today comes to us from Jetfire97, who writes, "Good morning, John and crew. Who's your favorite supernatural villain if you have one? Mine is Azazel, the yellow-eyed demon. He was definitely the first big bad they had in Supernatural. He was a great villain, but I got to go with the stereotypical answer, and I got to go Lucifer. The Satan was the best villain they had. I just loved his character, even the way they evolved his character over time and all that kind of stuff, and they moved into it, so I'm going to go with that." Willow Yang writes, "O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free." Yes, it is Canada Day. I decided to bust out the my Canadian flag back there. I got my, of course, Superman is Canadian, by the way. Superman's Canada shirt here, got here, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to enjoy myself today. I'm going to eat food I shouldn't be eating. I'm going to be on the phone with some of my friends back up home. So thank you for sending that in, Willow. I appreciate that. All right, next up, Curtis Lopez writes, "New Jumanji trailer was hilarious. Rock as Danny DeVito, Kevin Hart as Danny Glover. Sold." Well, look, that's the thing, guys. Theoretically speaking, I did not like the idea of it. Like, I read the brief description before I clicked play on the trailer. I'm like, DeVito's gonna be in The Rock this time, but I like the other kid doing it. Trailer played, I don't know. I liked it. If you guys had to say, let me start with you, Kris. If you had to say one thing that really caught you and said, okay, this could work for me, what would that be in the trailer?
It was Danny DeVito. I went in blind. I didn't read anything about it. I just watched and went, oh, new Jumanji. And I lost my damn mind. I love him so much. T-shirts, you guys. I'm all in. And Danny Glover is just a delight. I've never not enjoyed him in something.
I was waiting for him to say, I'm too damn old
right?
for this.
If they don't do it in the movie, what are we even doing here? But if I couldn't have Danny DeVito voicing Pikachu, I might as well have him voicing The Rock.
What do you think, Rob? What was the one thing to you that made you go,
I got to go with
okay?
Danny DeVito too, but Danny Glover, the only thing I disliked him in was Color Purple. Because he, as Mr., as the mean, horrible.
Yeah, but he was great.
He's so
He
good.
was great,
Yeah.
but I love Danny Glover. I mean, I love him so much. And you know what this shows me? It shows that the filmmakers and the screenwriters and the studio, there's some real creativity. You think, okay, you're going to the well for the third time. The second movie was an unexpectedly monster hit. They're giving us something new. They're giving us something that's reinventing something that we've had rather than give us the same thing again. That's what I love about it, is it shows that even in big budget studio franchise filmmaking, they can still surprise us and give us something kind of out of left field that we go, oh yeah, that's cool.
You just used the word surprise too. How did they keep it from everybody that Danny DeVito and this whole thing was going to be happening like this? Bravo to them for keeping all this under wraps, because that couldn't have been easy.
Absolutely.
All right, Ben Burnside writes, "I'm just hoping that Stephen A. Smith, Spike Lee, and other Knicks fans don't go on a murderous rampage after yesterday." For those of you who do not follow the sports world, big news for New York basketball, but it wasn't the Knicks, it was the Nets. They end up getting Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And, the guy who, I'm forgetting the name of the dude who was on the Clippers, and then he just went over to the Mavericks, and now he's went over there. But anyway, another big man. They just swept up in free agency yesterday. The Brooklyn Nets got it, not the New York Knicks. And look, I feel your pain, guys. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Believe me, New York Knicks fans, I feel your pain. But it's been kind of funny watching New York Knicks sportscasters and New York Knicks fan sportscasters like doing the old biblical spreading ash on their head, tearing their robes and lamenting, shaking their hands in the heavens. Why? It's been kind of a kick to watch, but I feel your pain, guys. Draco Eris writes, Spider-Man and Superman are my favorite superheroes. Who is yours and why? Well, my favorite comic book character. So I won't go with just the hero. I'll just say you guys know this. My favorite comic book character, period, is Magneto. I believe he is the most interesting, the deepest, the most multi-layered, most misunderstood, and complex character in comics, period. I love the Magneto character. Always have, always will. If you're just asking specifically superhero, it's a boring answer because it's so many people's answer, but it's true. It's Batman. Batman's my favorite superhero character. Anyway, Rob, well, I think I know yours, but anyway, favorite comic book hero.
Well, my favorite comic book of all time is Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, but I'm going to go left field. My favorite comic book character is Reuben Flagg from Howard Chaykin's American Flag from the early 80s.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows my favorite Marvel character is Moon Knight, but I like the Doug Mensch, Bill Sienkiewicz version of Moon Knight from the first series of that book. And but then again, I got to go back and if I'm going to be boring as a kid, I love Superman.
And didn't they just recently, wasn't it like a year ago, weren't we talking about the fact that somebody's talking about doing an American Flag movie? Somebody was developing, bought the rights to it?
Luc Besson's company bought the rights.
That's what it was.
Eurocorp
That's
did.
right, yeah.
And by the way, my favorite superhero team growing up was Teen Titans, and
Yes,
then
it was.
It crossed over I became an X-Men lover, and then when they crossed over, and Darkseid and Dark Phoenix were in a Teen Titans X-Men crossover from the early 80s, man, that was everything I needed to see.
What about you, Chris? So you say you had a favorite comic book hero character of all time. Who would it be?
I mean, I'm going to be really boring and say Spider-Man. The 90s animated series, Peter Parker was my first crush. Oh my gosh. Those Dockers. I was so into him. I loved him so much.
Dockers.
And I love Zatanna. I love John Constantine. All the Dark Justice League things I was really, really into, which makes me so sad about Swamp Thing and everything that's happening to it.
Oh, I know. We could do a whole half hour
Vertigo.
video.
Yeah.
Vertigo's going away.
I know.
All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Andres Martinez, who writes, your favorite Chris Rock movie? Oh, I keep forgetting the name of it. It's when he's the gangster rapper. What? Oh,
Yeah,
why am I forgetting the name of it?
Yeah,
But he's not a gangster, and he's pretending to be this gangster. It was in the height, of course. Hold on a second. Now I got to look it up because it's going to. This is killing me.
New Jack City for me.
I mean, that's great.
Even though he's not the star of New Jack City, it was
Yeah.
one of his first breakout roles. Because I want to be a New Jack hustler.
Okay, so by the way, I'm going to get hated on for this a lot. I didn't hate Head of State. Just throwing that out there. Okay, it's CB4. CB4 was the movie. Oh my God, I love CB4. It got a lot of criticism and all that kind of stuff, but I just really, really dug it. So it's CB4. All right.
Dogma.
We had Dogma.
Dogma's
Yeah.
good.
Dogma's
Dogma's
good.
great.
That one's too. Okay, we move on here to Curtis Lopez, who writes, you having a heart attack. Breathe, breathe. His whole left side is shutting down. LOL, can't wait for Jumanji. That was great. And the way... Look, I was already digging the way Kevin Hart was doing Danny DeVito, or was doing Danny Glover. But when he pulled that, you having a heart attack? If you close your eyes, I would have thought it was Danny Glover saying it. It was an absolutely great part of that trailer, Curtis. I love that part. Tom Gillard writes, wouldn't sending Anne to a junket for the next Tom Hanks movie be an easier way for her to meet him? Long day, but worth it for her to meet the man. Oh, yeah, theoretically, but it's not that simple. It's not that easy. See, for those of you who don't know, I am starting to coordinate. It's very Bush League of me to do. It's completely unprofessional of me to do, all that kind of stuff. I don't give a flying rat's ass. I am starting to coordinate a conspiracy to get you guys to help me to get Anne, my wife, whose favorite human being on the planet Earth is Tom Hanks. The whole reason Anne left her job at the Congresswoman's office to go and work at Hasbro was because of Big. That's it. That's why she took the job at Hasbro, because Big is her favorite movie of all time, and Tom Hanks is her favorite human being of all time. So I'm going to get you at some point to help me Twitter bomb Tom Hanks. Don't do it yet. I'll let you know when we're going to do it. I just want Tom Hanks one day to wake up with 10,000 tweets coming at him saying, you've got to meet Anne Campea. But before we do that, the question is, why not just send her to one of the press junkets? The answer to that is simply this. Because you can't just go to a press junket. You have to be invited to press junkets. And here's the thing. I years ago stopped going to press junkets years ago because they're useless and they're a waste of time and they don't work. It's pretty cool to sit down, but from a YouTuber's point of view, I would put up a movie. I would put up a 5-minute video. Put this in context. I put up a 5-minute video on, say, AMC's YouTube channel at the time saying, my 5 favorite uses of a fork in a movie. Something stupid, right? That video would get 10,000 views. I could put up a video of me sitting down having a one-on-one exclusive discussion with me and, I don't know, Nicole Kidman, one of the greatest actresses in the world, get 500 views. Hell, I remember I did an exclusive interview with Robert Downey Jr. and it got like 1,000 views because nobody cares about that stuff. But anyway, so I stopped accepting these press junket interviews. And as the years go by and I keep not responding to them, they stop sending them. So years ago, I stopped even getting invites to them because I just never went. I'm no longer on the invite list to go to press junkets because I never request to go. So it would be nigh impossible for me to get onto a press junket now at this point. I could work really hard for a number of years and get back on them, sure, if I wanted to, but it's not going to work. So it's a great idea, Tom, but that's why the idea wouldn't work at this point. So I got to go with the underhanded, unprofessional way of just Twitter spamming Tom Hanks and annoying the man.
I know how you could do it, dude.
How's that?
Well, the greatest TV miniseries, well, one of them ever made, From the Earth
Besides
to the Moon.
Chernobyl? Okay.
No, From the Earth to the Moon, it's also HBO, is being re-released. They've redone it in HD. It hasn't been available in HD ever. It's coming out. And who produced it? Tom Hanks. It was his dream project. He stars in it. He introduces every episode. Why don't you ask him to come on for an hour-long conversation discussing From the Earth to the Moon? And you and your wife could be right here, and you could have an hour-long conversation. I bet he would do it.
I bet you he wouldn't.
Bet he would.
Fucking nobody. He's not just
but who else is asking? Who else is asking? Call his publicity team. HBO, you want to promote From the Earth to the Moon. They redid all the visual effects in HD. It's one of the best, biggest releases of the year, at least in my mind. You should try and do it. It's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing on July 20th.
Okay.
In 19 days.
What
Hanks
do I got
loves
to
space.
lose? Yeah, what do I got to lose, I guess? Okay, I'm going to try it.
That's really sweet. I'm going to go home and be like, who have you tweeted for me lately?
Look, it's the last thing I have to do as a husband. I mean, there's nobody else she loves more in life. We bought tickets to go to the Shakespeare in the Park, a little intimate 150-seat little Shakespearean theater, because 6 months ago Tom Hanks was doing wasn't Henry V. It was Henry, one of the Henrys, and he was starring in it, and we sat no more than 40 feet from the stage with Tom Hanks playing the role, and she was just there. She would do anything for Tom Hanks. That's it. Anything for Tom Hanks. So I got to see if I can make that happen at some point, somehow, some way. All right. Next up, Curtis Lopez writes, over under 40%. Hart says, I was just saying this. Hart says, I'm too old for this shit. I'm going to go over 40%. I don't think it's a 100% guarantee, but I got to take over 40%. I think there's a good chance they do that. Ben Burnside writes, one of two. Hey guys, previously I sent you questions about The Sopranos, Robert Patrick, and The Terminator, as well as a personal story involving gambling, 2 of 2. Well, I just happened to see an episode of The Sopranos after these questions, which guest starred Robert Patrick as a gambler. Life is strange. I gotta tell you straight up, I don't remember. First of all, I love Robert Patrick. I think he's always great whenever he pops up on screen. I don't remember that episode of The Sopranos. Granted, it's been a while since I watched Sopranos. I don't remember that episode, but if that's true, that is pretty damn coincidental that you're talking about Sopranos, Robert Patrick, and gambling, and then you turn on an episode of The Sopranos with Robert Patrick as a gambler. That's pretty strange, but pretty cool at the same time. Thanks for sharing that, Ben. All right. Andres Martinez writes, favorite lines in Catch Me If You Can. Dr. Harris, do you concur? Concur with what, sir? I also forget that Jennifer Garner's in this movie. Yeah, I forgot that a lot too. She's like one of my longest term Hollywood crushes is Jennifer Garner. And I have had a chance to meet her, so that was great. But yes, do you concur? The way Leo DiCaprio plays that line, do you concur? Yes, and just passed himself off that way. That's a really underrated Leo DiCaprio and Steven Spielberg film, by the way. Not a lot of people talk about, but whenever that movie comes up and comes on, I'm riveted to it. I think it's a fabulous movie. What do you think about Catch Me If You Can, Ryan?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it might be one of Spielberg's most underrated great movies.
Yeah. Did you ever have a chance to see it, Kris?
I did. I love that movie.
Oh,
I
it's
think
so-
his dynamic with Tom Hanks in that too is wonderful.
Oh, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
And of course, Tom Hanks. Well,
Yeah.
Spielberg and Hanks, of course. All right. Let's see. Adam Martinez writes, a lot of Stranger Things 3 reviews call it the best season yet. I'm so excited for Thursday. Yeah. Look, I never thought there was any reason to be worried. There were some people who poo-pooed a couple of episodes of season 2. I actually liked all the episodes of season 2, including that strange one where it's like with the sisters and the whatever. But I even liked that episode. I thought there was no reason at all. The only thing to be worried about is that like 3 days after Stranger Things 3 hits Netflix is the announcement that comes and says it's now canceled. Because Rob, you got a theory that it's 3 seasons and you're out. So let me ask you, Rob, seriously, what do you think the odds are that Stranger Things ends after season 3?
I think they're pretty high.
Really? Like high, not just
Because
possible,
Millie
but high.
Bobby Brown's career is taking off. And I think that Stranger Things, it depends. Obviously, people love Stranger Things. It looks like Stranger Things season 3 is great, for at least in the trailers. It looks really good to me. But I mean, with Netflix analytics and the way they do shows, why should they do a fourth season? I don't know.
Kris, is there going to be a Stranger Things season 4?
I don't know, because the kids are growing so quickly. So that's part of the problem too, is how long can we have these kids hanging out in Indiana? And like you're saying too, Millie Bobby Brown is taking off. The other kids are starting to do their own things as well. I'm just going to enjoy it while I can. I'm having a Stranger Things party instead of a 4th of July party with my best friend.
Oh, nice.
Making alcoholic otter pops and stuff.
And
It's
wearing
gonna
your
be great.
matching
Nice.
Danny DeVito shirts.
And we're going to have our Danny DeVito shirts.
All right, let's move on here. Next up, Aiden Foley writes, "You're all crazy. I see an orange in the bag." That's going back to, we've had this ongoing discussion about the ridiculous Snyder cut nonsense. And like, I know there are apples in the bag. I'm just saying there's no watermelon. Now he's saying, "You're damn crazy. I see an orange in the bag." Ben Burnside writes, we already did Ben. Tom Gillard writes, Saw Spidey in my Spider-Man jacket, and this little kid asked me if I was the real Spider-Man. So I put on my best American accent and told him I was. The kid led up, made my day. That's awesome.
So sweet.
That's awesome. When you can create a moment like that for a kid, because as cheesy as it is, guys, look, we live in LA. So we've been down on Hollywood Boulevard near Hollywood and Hollywood and Highland and all that kind of stuff. And so the sidewalks are littered with these people, and I mean that term, littered with these people who dress up in costume, and they get tourists to come and take pictures with them. But I'll tell you what, and I used to live right up the street from that, Rob. I used to live on what was it called? Poinsettia Apartments, like just up the road by Hollywood and La Brea. And see these people all the time. And while they annoy a lot of people, like you always get a guy dressed as Batman, you always get a guy dressed as Superman, always somebody's dressed as the Hulk, always somebody's dressed as Spider-Man. But as many people find those people annoying, when you see little kids walking by and they look up and they see Spider-Man or they see Batman or whatever, those kids' faces light up. And dude, if you had that experience where like you're just wearing a jacket and a little kid asks you that, you're damn right you say yes. Of course you say yes. What do you think? If you're dressed like Santa Claus at the mall, if the kids ask you, "Are you really Santa Claus?" You don't say no. You don't say, "No, I'm just doing this for beer money on the weekend." You say, "Yes, I'm Santa Claus." And you give that kid a moment. So bravo to you, Tom. Bravo to you. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes us from Jay Bling, who writes, "Saw the Endgame re-release yesterday. Added stuff was okay, but 5th time seeing it in the theater, and the overall movie is still a gut punch." Well, listen, that's what I've been saying, Jay, and guys, is that, look, I think going back to watch an intro from the director, an unfinished 30-second deleted scene that has no impact on the movie at all, and a little tribute video is dumb. But if you just want to go back because you're looking forward to seeing the movie again in theater, that's great. So there's nothing wrong with that. But Rob, I think there were people who went out this weekend just to see what the hubbub was about in the post-credit scene. And I've heard from some people complaining about what they got, but it's like they told you exactly what it was going to be in it like that. But did you feel any temptation to go out to see just for that last part?
No. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I hate to say it because it was like, I watched The Manchurian Candidate from 1962 this weekend. I watched the Criterion Blu-ray. I showed it to my girlfriend for the first time. That movie excites me. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and she loved it. She'd never seen it before, and I had a better experience watching a movie from 1962 than going to see a movie in the theater that I already seen 4 times, that I've already pre-ordered on Steelbook from Best Buy. I mean, it was like, did I need to see a movie a 5th time when I could have watched another movie I've seen 100 times again? Oh, I don't know, but hey.
Kris, you guys saw Endgame. Did you guys have any temptation to go back and watch it again for the post-credit stuff?
I mean, not really. And maybe they're going to take my Make Mine Marvel card away from me and I'm going to be a fake fangirl, but I really didn't see the point in going. I've already seen it twice.
Yeah.
And
that's 6 hours of theater commitment right there.
Neither time did I take a bathroom break. I committed. I did my time.
All right, guys, let's move on here. Next one comes us from Ben Burnside, who writes, who wins in a fight, Godzilla or King Kong? Well, we're going to find out. They're putting out a whole movie about it. Now, a lot of people will say, but Godzilla's only 1/3 of this, or King Kong's only 1/3 of the side of Godzilla in the movies. Don't forget, the King Kong, they've told us already, the King Kong we got in Kong Skull Island was not a fully grown Kong. He's going to be much bigger. So who's going to win that fight? We're going to find out. Aaron Moen writes, you think Dwayne will ever go 6 months with a movie? I think you probably meant to say, do you think Dwayne will ever go 6 months without a movie? Not between now and when he retires. He knows he's hot right now. He knows his main asset is just charm and his incredible charisma and physique. And he knows the physique won't last forever. So he's like doing all the movies he can right now. And why not? Get while the getting's good, do it. So no, I don't think we're going to go more than 6 months without a Dwayne movie for a bit. Who knows? Maybe we've got one coming up now. But yeah, it seems like he's always got like 12 movies in development at one time. It's just crazy, but he's incredibly busy. Ben Burnside writes, who wins in a fight, Godzilla or Superman? Easy, Superman. Superman simply just lifts Godzilla up and throws him in outer space and the fight's done. Isaac S. writes, but why can't he beat Batman?
Why would you do that to Godzilla,
Because
John?
It's really mean.
He's
a guardian.
Saying he should do it. Well, it depends on the incarnation, because there's that anime thing. There's that anime series where Godzilla is like the Reaper and destructor of the world and like wipes out humanity. So there's also that.
By the way, it was cool too. A lot of people are like, I don't like that. It's good.
I was in the middle of the road on that one. I watched both and I was like, but anyway. But yeah, Superman, it's Superman. And why can't he beat Batman then? Because he's Batman. That's why. All right. What's next here? We've got Isaac S. who writes, can we talk about The Prestige, favorite of all time? I like The Prestige very much until the ending. I'm still to this day not a fan of the ending, but you know what? It doesn't affect my enjoyment of the overall film as I go through it. It's still a great, compelling, well-acted, all-star cast of a film. I'm just not big on the ending. Rob, you know what I'm talking. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. You know what I'm talking about.
Don't spoil it.
The big ending reveal. It doesn't work for me. Did it work for you?
It is it's not unexpected.
It is out of left field.
But it's like I'm always talking about verisimilitude, my favorite word. I don't know if the end of The Prestige has that for me.
No, it doesn't.
Maybe
Did you ever
not.
see The Prestige?
I didn't.
Chris? Yeah,
I missed that.
So I won't give away the ending, but yeah, it's just. But I
It's
love
really
the movie
good,
overall.
though.
The movie itself is great. It's just the ending is like,
Isn't
okay.
David Bowie in it?
No, it's
Or-
Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Michael Caine,
There's some
Scarlett
crazy people in it.
Johansson.
Well, doesn't Bowie play Tesla?
Yeah, I thought he
Wait,
showed
was
up
that
in-
actually Boa who played Tesla in that?
I think it
I
is.
Really? I have no recollection of that.
I think it was Bowie who plays Tesla.
Okay, so I'm going to have to look that up now. I'm going to have to look that up. All right. Andres Martinez writes, where are we at here? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're a rock star. Ben Burnside writes, there would be no Black Panther without Denzel Washington, Chadwick Boseman at an award ceremony with Denzel in attendance. I think, look, that's something we can get into really huge. And it did spark a discussion that I had about the understanding the overall influence that Denzel Washington has had in this business. Because, I heard somebody once say, look, stop saying that Denzel Washington is one of the finest black actors in the business. Denzel Washington is one of the finest actors, period, in the business. He is atop of the apex predator list when it comes to thing. When you're talking about the best of the best actors in the world today, there is a true top shelf. And in that top shelf, there are 5 or 6 names at most, and Denzel Washington is one of them. And the way he has influenced not just things for young black actors in the business, but the way he's influenced the business as a whole cannot be overstated. And that, I think, is something that Chadwick Boseman was getting at when he said that, and I think it was appropriate, and I think he was bang on the money when he said that. Esteval Garcia writes, what's your most rewatchable movie? Mine is Die Hard 4. I mean, it goes without saying. For me, it's Star Wars. Obviously, it's Star Wars is my most rewatchable movie. Rob, what would you say is your most rewatchable movie?
The Social Network or Almost Famous.
Yeah, I forget how much you love The Social Network.
I cannot get enough of The Social Network. I could watch that movie forever.
What is it? I'm 6'2", 220 pounds, and there's two of me.
I love the scene with Rooney Mara and him in the beginning it's just so cool.
What about you, Kris? What would you say is your most rewatchable movie? That maybe the movie you've watched the most ever?
Philadelphia Story or Clue? Like that's a toss-up between the two of those.
Weird dichotomy of two completely different
Those were
movies.
the two movies that I loved so much as a kid. Or Muppet Treasure Island. Oh, I don't know. I watch those all the time.
Three.
I have weird stuff.
Philadelphia Story, Muppet Treasure Island, and Clue.
Yeah.
Completely different
They
films.
were very influential on me.
I
My
bet
parents
they
made me
are.
watch them all the time, and I loved them.
All right, next up, where are we at here? We're at Juan Mia writes, sad day in New York when elite players choose to sign with the Nets before the Knicks. The owner needs to go. Hey, now you know how a lot of LA Lakers fans felt when a bunch of players started signing with the Clippers, and how they're gonna feel when Kawhi Leonard signs with the Clippers. I still believe Kawhi Leonard's going to the Clippers, unfortunately. Anyway, Ben Burnside writes, it's crazy to me that movie fans are not interested in seeing Godzilla versus Ghidorah. What more do people want? Thank God they didn't prevent Kong versus Godzilla from happening. Well, I don't know, Ben. A decent movie? Just speaking for myself, now there are those who loved this movie, including sitting in this room right now, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. So there's that, but I can only speak for myself, Ben. I was hoping for a decent movie outside of the fabulous parts with Godzilla versus Ghidorah. But when you approach it that, hey, all we need is Godzilla versus Ghidorah, no, that's a YouTube video. That's not a movie. That's a YouTube video. And it sounds great, but build something great around it. Now, that's just my take on it. A lot of you guys did enjoy the movie as a whole. Rob loved the movie as a whole. But, so Rob, let me ask you then. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why different movies don't live up to their potential, whether it's financially or whatever. There's a lot of different reasons behind it. What do you think? I think even the biggest fans of the movies say Godzilla has not lived up to its financial potential, didn't get enough people out. What would you attribute it to of why, as somebody who really does like the movie and think they did a good job, what do you think of their purposes that maybe it didn't attract more people?
Look, I think, and I've said this before, that I think Western audiences don't understand the inherent whimsy in certain Asian concepts, in terms of things like giant monsters or the work of Matsumoto Leiji putting a battleship in space or a train in space. You know, there's just things that go on in these movies that we aren't necessarily trained to enjoy as much as, say, other audiences are. So the idea of kaiju monsters, those gigantic monsters, I mean, are a little bit out of our ability to totally embrace. At least that's what I think. And I think that, look, you have to be... I grew up with Godzilla films. I've seen every Godzilla movie, every incarnation, every continuity, because there's multiple Godzilla continuities. And I even the worst, Godzilla's Revenge or Godzilla versus Megalon. I love Jet Jaguar. A lot of people don't. I'm just saying that I think this kind of movie... I mean, when you have a character going, I'm third generation monarch, and she's from her and her sister where they sang the Mothra song. I mean, come on. That movie was awesome.
Well,
Masura. Sorry.
Masura.
I was about to sing the Mothra song in Japanese, but I won't.
But yeah, and I do wonder, I gotta say, Ben, I do wonder, had they not already finished shooting Godzilla versus Kong, I can't help but suspect they would have pulled the plug on it after Godzilla. I mean, it's a movie that not only did it lose money, but it's continued the trajectory of the Godzilla and King Kong. It's the lowest opening out of any of the ones they've done so far. It's clearly this type of a trajectory, and the audience didn't respond en masse the way they were hoping to. And I got a feeling they would have pulled the plug. But fortunately, for people who are looking forward to it, it was already shot. So that movie's coming. And here's hoping. You know what? I think there's still time here for them to learn whatever lessons there were to learn from it and improve upon it. And I'm not writing off Godzilla versus Kong. I'm going to look forward to it. I'm excited to see it, and let's see how it all turns out.
Mecha Godzilla, dude. Come on,
Godzilla.
make it happen.
There better be Godzuki in that movie.
Yeah.
I had so many people tell me, John, what do you think the chances? This was just before Godzilla King of the Monsters came out. John, like so many over under 30% Godzuki makes an appearance. I'm like, they're not going to put
They're not going to do
Godzuki.
it.
Godzilla. Ba,
He's
ba,
only.
ba.
By the way, Godzuki's only animated.
And
Minya. What you want is Minya.
Do, do, do,
Up
do.
from the depths, 40 stories tall.
Anyway. All right. Canada Rocks writes, Happy Canada Day, and Happy Canada Day to all my fellow Pats and expats around the world for Canada Day. I'm going to go out and find myself some decent poutine. Probably doesn't exist in the United States, so I might make myself, make some for myself. All right. Aiden Foley writes, waiting for Galaxy's Edge to open in Disney World, Florida is exhausting. I really want to go already, man. It opens so late after summer, too. Oh, well, hey, but that might work to your favor, Aiden. The fact that it may open after the summer months may work very much to your favor because the kiddies aren't on vacation anymore. It may make you getting in there as early as possible a lot easier otherwise. So that could be working in your favor, brother. Keep your eyes. I'm going to go back again this week. I love Galaxy's Edge. I just love it. Ann and I, we already started planning this morning. We got out of bed. First thing we talked about, when are we going back to Disneyland? Then we making our plans for this week to go back again. Ryan Hewitt writes, watched an A24 film called Highlight, with Robert Pattinson. Featuring Robert Pattinson last night. It's ambiguous and visually stunning. Have you seen this indie sci-fi film? We've talked about it several times on the show. It's great. Yet again, a great example about why. Because there's still people around the world going, why did they cast Robert Pattinson, Twilight Boy, as Batman? The reason? Because none of y'all have watched any of Robert Pattinson's films since Twilight. He's done about 7 or 8 or 9 of them, and he's been effing brilliant in all of them. And I didn't even think High Life was his best one. That's why, Christopher Nolan is making him a lead in his new movie next year. That's why Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers picked him to be the new Batman. That's why, and he's great in it. He's fabulous in it. Rob, let me just ask you, with all the movies that he's done lately, would you say High Life is maybe his best performance? Would you pick another one?
I would say Good Time is probably his best. But High Life, if you like science fiction movies, as I do, it's quite an interesting science fiction film. And no, is it a $200 million science fiction film? No, but if you like things like, say, Moon, it has nothing to do with Moon. But if you like, lower budget Sunshine, it would make a great double feature with Danny Boyle's Sunshine. As a matter of fact, you got to check it out.
By the way, my favorite performance of his is still Rover. That's still my favorite performance of his. Not necessarily the best movie he did, but it's my favorite performance of his. All right, Andres Martinez writes, Rob, over under infinity %, you'll shout justice for Han before watching Hobbs and Shaw.
I'll never talk in the movie, but I think I might shout it out, especially if I'm in the Dome and it's opening night.
And just as the opening credits start?
Yeah, if you're gonna impose yourself on an audience that way, you better do it right. You better employ that, and I have to know if the audience is gonna feel me, because if I know, and if you're there in the Dome on opening night and somebody screams that out, if it's going to get a laugh, but you don't want to say something like that and have it fall flat, because then you're just a douche.
Yep, then you are just a douche.
It's like that pause when Cap says Avengers. Someone in our theater went, say it! And then it was assembled, so everyone was just like, yes!
So you got to know.
Yeah.
The best somebody yelling something out in the theater that I've ever had was, and some people have heard me tell the story, it was Battlefield Earth, the John Travolta train wreck. And we were all excited about it because I worked in the visual effects industry at the time, and it looked like a visual effects feast, and John Travolta was hot at the time, and blah, blah, blah. And we went to go watch it, and it's truly one of the most horrible movies ever made. It's in my trinity of the worst Hollywood wide release films of all time. Catwoman, Highlander 2, Battlefield Earth. The trinity of the worst films ever made. And I was in this crowded movie theater, about 700 people, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And the movie played, and it ended, and the credits started to roll, and nobody moved. It's like, when a movie credits start to roll, people start to grab their coats. Well, in California, you wouldn't know that, but people start to grab their coats, hustling. But everybody in the theater was caught like a deer in headlights. And the credits start to roll, and the theater is dead quiet as the credits roll in, and some guy sitting in the front row in a dead silent theater yelled, "What the hell was that?" And the entire theater erupted. just erupted in laughter. It is and I agree. You got to pick your spots, but it was the end credits, and that was great. Only to be followed up by my first time watching Fantastic Four, the latest one, the one that Josh Trank only semi-directed. It was on the Fox lot. Okay, not a regular movie theater, the Fox lot. The screening ends, and we leave the theater. Okay, so now we're out of the theater, but we're still on the Fox studio property. We're still on the Fox lot. And there's these two guys who left first, and then there's the whole crowd of people walked out behind him, right? And I'm right near the front of the throng of people coming behind with these two guys about 20 yards ahead. And suddenly, the one guy in the front stopped, turned around, facing the theater, goes, "Fuck that movie!" and then turns around and keeps walking while on the Fox lot. So anyway, those are a couple of my favorite stories of people yelling stuff out. But I want to be there, Rob, when you yell out "Justice for Han." I want to be there for that.
Now I have to.
Now you have to. It's going to be expected. Tyler Yates writes, "Really like the new Jumanji trailer. We did too." Again, I read the description for it. I'm like, what? But then it won me over. I mean, I'm looking. Let's see what the second trailer does in a few months. AJ writes, "John, I'm super excited for Top Gun Maverick. There is news that it's coming to San Diego Comic-Con. It is. But with a June 2020 release, isn't that too soon for marketing? Hey, listen, there is a difference between going to Comic-Con and doing a presentation and starting your big marketing push. What I am not expecting is a full-fledged, fully fleshed out, big Top Gun trailer yet. Godzilla did that last year and a year in advance, and it was they'd never had the same buzz as it did a year ago. And I don't think they're going to make that same mistake. But hey, I think there's lots of news they can give. I think they can give some first looks at what we're going to see. I think it's not too early to start talking about it, but I don't think you're going to see them push a big full trailer. Rob, what do you think?
This movie's been being made for a very long time.
Long time. Like when Tony Scott was still alive, this movie was being made.
I have to say, of all the sequels that have come out years later, I mean, we're Top Gun's, what, 86?
Don't even say
So
it.
you're looking at a
Jeez.
33-year gap between movies. It's kind of like the difference between Color of Money and The Hustler. And I got to say, I can't wait.
I'm really curious to see what they're going to do.
I cannot wait. I know Joseph Kosinski, who did Tron Legacy and Oblivion's directing it, so it'll probably look great. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this movie. I don't know why. I've seen Top Gun a million times. It's maybe I'm gonna have to finally go out and buy a motorcycle if he rides one again. I don't know. I'm just really excited. You know, the F-14 Tomcat's one of my favorite airplanes, favorite aircraft of all time. There's a reason why Veritechs from Robotech look like F-14s. And I can't wait to see this movie.
So, Kris, let me ask you, do you think they're going to do big, like drop a big trailer for it at Comic-Con and then over or under 20% that we get a shirtless Tom Cruise beach volleyball scene in Top Gun Maverick?
So over.
Oh,
He's
they're
gonna
doing it.
spike that ball. I don't think they're gonna do a huge
On his
push
little
at Comic-Con.
apple box.
Yep, he's just gonna launch up there. He'll have a tramp underneath too, so you just bounce. I don't see them doing a huge reveal or anything at Comic-Con. It doesn't seem. Well, a couple years ago, I'd say that's absolutely not the market for it. But now it's more of a pop culture convention than anything, not just comics. So maybe it'll be a big deal there. But Top Gun's a movie that didn't resonate really strongly with me. I do the high five that Goose did. That's about it. But I don't really see them doing a big trailer job, doing a bunch of stuff, because it's been talked about for so long. My neighbor's been working security on that movie for what feels like years. Yeah. So it'd be nice to see some actual footage to just confirm that it is real.
Make it tangible?
Yeah. Because right now it just feels like a really long con that Val Kilmer's pulling. You know?
And why are they releasing it a year from now if it's not an effects, if they're shooting practical?
But remember, it had an earlier date, and then they did a big push on it. So maybe it's just they wanted that.
It's for the shirtless volleyball
date.
scene. They had to get those abs.
Yeah, extra.
Tom Cruise is what, 55 now? So
yeah.
By the way, it sounds horrible, and I am a Tom Cruise fan. But did you ever see the Family Guy episode with Tom Cruise, where he becomes best friends with Stewie, and he's the same height as Stewie? He's just this little guy running around with Stewie. Oh my God, it's one of the funniest things. Okay, anyway, let's move on here. Bassam F writes, did anyone see the pilot for the new Tommy Wiseau's animated time travel sci-fi series Space World? He's doing it with Greg Sestero. I saw I saw there was postings for it, but I remember thinking, oh wait, my life is precious. I don't need to watch that. So no, I did not see that at all. Did either of you guys watch the trailer for that?
No, didn't he still have some movie coming out with sharks or something?
Yeah, but
did that come and go?
No, we're not even sure if that's a real thing or if he
Yeah.
just shot it as a joke trailer.
I did not see it, John.
I
did not.
Oh, hey, Rob.
Oh, hi, Rob.
Okay, let's move on here. Gorilla's Massive Schlong writes, for Guardians 3, now that Disney owns Fox, the Guardians are talking in an alien city. In the background, you see a predator walking his pet xenomorph. Okay, I'll tell you two things that I guarantee. Number one, that's not going to happen. They're not going to cross over aliens or xenomorphs or predators into it. However, I am totally open to the idea that they very may well be in a crowded alien street intersection, whatever, much like in the opening Guardians, opening part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where, you know, Gamora and Star-Lord first meet running through the streets, whatever, that they may not just happen to be a creature that looks suspiciously a lot like a predator as they run by as an Easter egg. I wouldn't put that by them, but to actually stop on that creature and focus on that, no, I don't think that's going to happen at all. Just Too Tasty Good writes, was Adam Sandler snubbed for Best Actor in Reign Over Me when you look at the other 2008 Best Actor nominees? I thought he should have been nominated. Like, I'm not going to make an argument that he should have won, but it was the movie to me. By the way, guys, if you've not seen Reign Over Me, I believe it is Adam Sandler's best movie, period. Not just best movie that isn't a comedy or whatever. I believe it is his best movie, period. And that was the movie that for me went, oh my God, this guy, he may be dying when it comes to his comedic stuff. He is so naturally gifted as a dramatic actor. It is his best performance ever. That's why I've always wanted to see him do more. So I will say, yeah, I really think he should have been more hardly considered for a supporting or for Best Actor nomination at least that year. Ed Han writes, what are the small details about the AMC experience that you notice and appreciate? Well, every theater is different. When I go to AMC, there's a couple things I appreciate. Number one, it seems to be very spacious. I never feel like I'm crowded, guys, when I go into an AMC theater. Now, granted, every AMC theater is different, so the ones where you guys live may be different from the ones where we live, but I like just walking into it and feeling like I'm in a big open space. I've always liked that. They always seem to overstaff, which is good. I like knowing that if I've got a question, there's usually a staff member no more than 5 or 6 feet from me to match. They could put some more staff people on the concession stands, get those lines moving faster. And I just always find they pay a lot of attention to making sure their theaters themselves are comfortable, clean environments to go sit in. So many times I've gone to some other movie theater chains like, could somebody just have sex in this chair or something? Mm-hmm. Like, maybe that's an added feature. I don't know. But I just appreciate those little things. Like, guys, I don't even know. What's your favorite movie theaters to go to? Like, Rob, I know you like the Cinema Dome.
I like the ArcLights.
Right.
I mean, I'm a big
great.
ArcLight
It really
fan.
is.
I've always
Much
been an
smaller
ArcLight fan.
franchise, but it's a wonderful movie-going experience. Mm-hmm. What about you, Kris?
I usually go to AMC.
Yeah.
I usually go over there. Although now I feel like if you're going to theaters that have like gross, sticky sex seats, that needs to be Skinamax, the best seat in town.
Gross, sticky sex seats. That's the newest t-shirt, by the way. We got to get that one. That one's coming out next. All right, guys, listen. We have hit an hour and a half mark. So this is the part of the show where Rob and Kris check out. And we'll continue on. Don't worry, guys. We're going to continue on, keep taking your questions. At least I will be right now. But Rob, listen, dude, thanks a lot for being here again. I know we'll see you back here again tomorrow. But for now, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett or on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and its adjacent website, theburnettwork.net.
And of course, Kris Carr making her first appearance here on the show.
Hey.
Besides at the hashtag Sticky Sex Seats, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me across all social media at actor Kris Carr, CARR, like the crackers. You can also see some of my videos over on Nerdwire.
And she's got, guys, if you're into anime and stuff like that, she's got some incredibly, I learned a lot of stuff watching some of those videos. You should go on over and check that stuff out too.
Thanks.
And we'll see you again a little bit later this week, Kris. So thanks, guys, for being here. And with that down, guys, we will just keep moving on here. And we now roll in to the next question today. And the next question today comes to us from, where are we at here? We are at Madsif Jada, who writes, should Rotten Tomatoes also have measures for troll critics? Well, no, because it's hard to say and prove that a critic who's putting up stuff on Rotten Tomatoes is trolling when they're not. I mean, it might just be their honest opinions and all that kind of stuff. You never know. One never knows. So that becomes a little bit of a slippery slope and something you got to be careful of. So I don't know. If it ever becomes just blatant like I think it is for a couple, maybe it's something they need to look into. But listen, just because a critic doesn't like things that you like does not mean they're a troll critic. I'm Upset writes, thoughts on Dirty Grandpa, in my opinion, worst Efron film. I thought that movie looked pretty funny. And I do have to admit, it was pretty bad. I do not think it's anywhere near his worst movie, though. To me, without question, his worst movie is Baywatch. That, to me, is his worst movie by far. But I will admit, I was a little disappointed with Dirty Grandpa, especially considering you got Robert De Niro in it, too. I mean, it should have been better than that. JB Bonifacio writes, have we considered the possibility that Bautista is actually just negging Universal for a role in Fast 10? Campea / Robert Meyer Burnett 2020. There you go. Obviously, I can't because I'm Canadian. But believe me, I am totally open to the idea. And I believe that it is one of the possible explanations for this seemingly losing of his mind, that Dave Bautista is simply setting us all up. And that we're going to find out pretty soon that he is indeed going to be in a future Fast and Furious movie. That will be hilarious. If it's not, then I really hope Dave takes the feedback, that Dave Bautista takes the feedback that, Dave, that was a stupid thing to say. It was unprovoked. You don't need to say, if it's okay if you feel that, you don't need to come out and start trash talking other people in this business for no reason whatsoever. Don't do that again. Please, Dave, you're one of my favorites. Don't do that again. But if it turns out he is trolling everybody, it's going to be one of the most hilarious things ever. Kevin Lewis writes, does John Cena have the chops to get a superhero role? No. I like John Cena. I think he's starting to find his way. And I'm not saying he couldn't at some point get to the point where he can lead a movie. I'm not saying that he can't get to a point where he can't get that lead. He could. But right now, he has not developed his acting ability enough that he can carry a film. We saw it in Blockers. He was a weak point in Blockers. He had some highlight moments, but you can tell he's just not at a point yet that he can carry a film. So until that happens, I'm going to say no. Unless you're going to put him in a role as a hero where he doesn't actually have to speak much, I'm going to say right now, no. 2 or 3 years from now, that could be different. But right now, no. John Cena can't carry a movie, in my opinion, at this point. Hopefully he will someday soon, though. Kevin Lewis writes, people spoil Far From Home on your Saturday, Sunday open mic with no FC, John. Yeah, you're going to get that everywhere. People are going to drop spoilers. You got to be careful about open chat stuff that you're watching, so just be careful, guys. Dipsimo5 writes, assuming Avatar 2 is as good as Avatar 1, if Cameron introed glasses-less 3D in that movie, I can easily see it making $3 billion. No chance. No. Everybody likes to throw this thing, so-and-so will easily make, everybody said, Endgame will easily make $3 billion. Easily. Everybody throws out too much. No, it's not. Avatar, it doesn't matter if it is as good, because Avatar isn't the greatest movie of all time. It just came, it's a wonderful film. I really enjoyed it a lot, but it had some things going for it that it doesn't have anymore. And the popularity of it came and went pretty quick. I don't see any scenario that Avatar makes $3 billion. I don't see any scenario that happens. That's not to say that Avatar 2 isn't going to be a big hit and join the billion, hell, maybe even $2 billion club, whatever. It's going to be a big, massive hit, but I don't see it, let alone easily making, I don't see any scenario in which Avatar makes $3 billion. That's just me. Now, let's wait and see. But, everybody was going around yelling, Endgame's going to make $3 billion easy. After the opening weekend, hell, I had people writing to me telling me Avengers Endgame was going to make $4 billion. You know who you are. I had a bunch of people sending me messages saying Avengers Endgame is going to make $4 billion. Of course, it hasn't even caught Avatar yet. I don't see Avatar making $3 billion. But hey, who knows? Let's wait and see. Anything is possible. Hell, I didn't think Venom would make 800 million, and it did. I didn't think Aquaman was going to make $1 billion, and it did. But 3 billion? No, I just don't see it happening. Jack Fitzgerald writes, Happy Canada Day from Barrie. I love Barrie. I used to drive up to Barrie all the time, and I used to go up to Barrie, Perry Sound, all that kind of stuff. I love Barrie. It's a gorgeous area up there, further north in Ontario. So I used to have to go through it all the time. Rush Hour, Tragically Hip. Rush Hour. Rush or Space, ladies and gentlemen. Rush or Tragically Hip. Love the hip, but I got to go Rush. I absolutely got to go Rush. Dim Sum writes, tons of people procrastinate on getting started on YouTube because they just want the perfect setup with the perfect gear. Just use your phone, people. Geez. Well, it's not just that, Dim Sum. It's the same principle about everything. People procrastinate. So many people say, I want to write a book. But then they all procrastinate and they use as an excuse, I haven't perfected the idea yet. Who cares? Start writing. They haven't started their podcasting. Some people, I'm going to podcast, and they procrastinate because it's like, oh, I don't have the perfect way to do it yet. Well, just start. You cannot steer a parked car. And I think that is also one of the excuses people use when say, I don't want to start my own YouTube channel because I got to get all the gear. You don't need all the gear first. The first videos I made when I was at the movie blog they look crappy, but it doesn't matter. It's the content that matters. So stop procrastinating. The real reason is most people are just lazy. They don't want to do the work. That's the real reason. But they'll use it as an excuse. Oh, I don't have all the right gear yet, or I don't have this yet, or whatever. Just get started. Just do your thing. Coolsome XD writes, Canada Day should be You Screwed Brett Day. They did. WWE screwed over Brett. No Quizada writes, John, have you been to Phoenix, Arizona? It's 111 degrees here. I have been to Phoenix, Arizona. It's really warm. I've been to Vegas one day when it was like 130. I was in Vegas one day where it was 130. It was insane. I'd never felt heat like that. I remember we pulled into Vegas and I touched the window. I was in the passenger seat and I touched the window of the car and it felt like touching the glass of an oven. Going, it was air conditioned in the car, but then I touched the glass. Like, holy crap, it feels like an oven in there. Then we opened the door to get out of the car and it was like opening the door to an oven and heat just came. It's... Woo! And I've heard it gets quite warm in Arizona. Timothy Platt writes, I didn't think it was possible, but somehow Avengers Endgame got even better during my 8th viewing. Well, hey man, if you enjoy it, enjoy it. Like to me, Man of Steel gets better every time I see it. I'm glad you're enjoying Endgame that much, and I'm glad you were able to still enjoy it in the movie theater while it lasts. Get out there and see it if you still want to. Ethan's Tech World writes, Hey, JR, John, Rob, and Kris. Unfortunately, Rob and Kris aren't here now. Currently, there are 10 Star Wars films. So Star Wars 9, I am watching one movie per month. I watched back in February, a cool thing every month. That is a great idea. That is a great idea. And you know what? It's actually been a while since I sat down and watched the original trilogy. And I was just talking to Ann the other day that we got to set aside a weekend where we just shut out the world, turn off our phones, and just hunker down with a blanket and some junk food and just watch the original trilogy again. So we got to do that soon, and I think we will pretty soon. So that's a great idea, Timothy. Ethan's Tech World writes, that was Ethan's Tech World. Timothy writes, thanks for all the high quality content. Well, thank you, Timothy. I appreciate that, dude. It's always nice when somebody wants to write and say something nice. And believe me, the pleasure is ours. We have a blast sitting here and talking movies with you guys. So thank you for that, Timothy. I appreciate that. Let's see. Nicholas Priera writes, Agenda John, please, my friend, not you. We have a different perspective on what? On what? I live in France. The film wasn't well received, and the film only made 20 million in Western Europe. Believe me, it's bad. That's 2005. Oh, we're talking about Shazam. Oh no, Nicholas, you're wrong. Sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. This isn't subjective. This is you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay, so Nicholas and I, my film-loving brother Nicholas and I, this is just good fun movie fan to movie fan having a debate, okay? So it's all good, dude. It's fun. It's fun when we get to have difference of opinions. But you are objectively wrong. Now, remember, we're not talking about whether you like a movie or not. That's totally different. It's just so everybody knows. It's cool if you like Shazam. It's cool if you don't like Shazam. That's irrelevant. The debate that Nicholas and I have been having has been whether or not Warner Brothers should look at Shazam as a failure. This all started with, whether it was Nicholas or somebody else, this was all started with somebody proposing that, how can Warner Brothers possibly not see that Shazam is a failure, right? My argument, well, you know what? We'll get into my argument. My argument is basically this. There's 4 pillars to determine if a movie is successful or not. All right? And you can give different importance to each one. Pillar number 1, did it make or lose money? We are in a year right now where 2 major comic book movies lost their studios tons of money. Hellboy and X-Men Dark Phoenix. They lost their studios tons of money. Did a movie make or lose money? Shazam was profitable. It made money. Was the studio happy with it? Warner Brothers was happy with it. Did the audience love it? The audience loved it. Did the critics love it? One of the highest rated comic book movies ever, 91% critic rating. So out of the 4 pillars, did it make or lose money? Made. Studio happy with it? Check. Audience happy with it? Check. Studio happy with it? Check. Sorry, there's no way to look at Shazam as a failure. There's just no way to do it. You have to want to see Shazam as a failure. That's why I use the word agenda. You have to approach it with a desire to see it as a failure so that you will twist and warp reality until reality matches the narrative you want it to tell. There's no other way around it. The 4 pillars, check, 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 check. It's got them all. You cannot say the movie was a failure. You can say, if you want, you can try to make an argument that even though it was successful and it made money, you can make an argument that maybe it underperformed. Maybe you believed it should have made more. Okay, you can make that argument. That's that. I don't think it could have, but you can have that argument and you can make that discussion, and that's valid. But anyway, let's read through the rest of Nicholas's thing here. So I live in France. The film wasn't well received, and the film only made 20 million in Western Europe. Believe me, it's bad. The 2005 Fantastic Four made 48 million. I'm just curious, how much did Captain America: The First Avenger make in your country? Just curious. Nicholas follows up with, so Shazam didn't make Warner Brothers lose money. No, it made money. Anyway, so Shazam didn't make Warner Brothers lose money. Okay. But today, is there still a need for this to assume that the general audience has not really been interested in a comic book movie by observing its box office results? It's a bit like Marvel Studios with Ant-Man. Oh, you mean Ant-Man, the character they've put in 4 of their movies? Just saying. It's a bit like Marvel Studios with Ant-Man. Like you, I think Feige will be tempted to dismiss him to make room for characters with more potential. All right. Where to start, Nicholas? Where to start? Number 1, who gives a flying F what the movie made in one particular country? The movie made $365 million and made the studio $50 to $70 million in profit. That's the bottom line. I don't care if, yeah, but Endgame only made $3 million in Tanzania. Who cares? It's made over $2.7 billion. That's the bottom line. So again, you can try to twist and warp and, spin this by saying, well, in this territory, it only made this much. That's irrelevant. Bottom line is Shazam, which nobody had heard about, nobody knew anything about, and people like me said it was a bad idea even to make the movie, came out and made the studio $50 to $70 million in profit. Bottom line, that's all that matters. So there's that. As far as your Ant-Man argument, okay, let's go with your Ant-Man argument. Kevin Feige put Ant-Man in 4 movies. He didn't just do the first one. He then put him in Civil War. He then did Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then made him a key figure in Spider-Man. Made Ant-Man a key figure in Avengers Endgame. If you want to go the Kevin Feige route, it's completely contrary to your point. Now, I think Ant-Man's story in the MCU is now played out. I think Kevin Feige may now pull the plug on Ant-Man now after being in 4 films because I believe he has told his story, culminating in being a big major piece of Avengers Endgame. That's one thing. But if your definition of it's going to be a failure like Ant-Man, Ant-Man that they put him in 4 movies. Again, Nicholas, brother, my fellow film fan, brother in arms here, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Because we're not talking about whether you should like a movie or not. That's irrelevant. That's a totally separate issue. You're totally legit to like or not like the movie. That's all subjective. But there is no measurement here. There is no measuring stick here. There is no milestone here that supports any notion in any way unless you are trying to warp reality to suggest that Shazam was a failure. It made money. The studio liked it. The audiences loved it. The critics loved it. There's no measurement you can apply here. There's no objective measurement you can apply to this to say objectively this movie was a failure. If you want to say you don't like it, that's fair. because that's subjective. You want to say you feel it underperformed, that it could have done better? I may or may not agree, but that's fair to say. To say that Disney or anybody should look at it as a failure when, bottom line, big critic ratings, big audience ratings, studio loved it, made them money, and now they're planning for sequels. There's just no way to say that it was a failure. There's just no way. And if you want to pretend that a movie with Shazam should have made as much money with a movie that had Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg all in it together, then, hey, if you think that way, cool, but I don't think that's very realistic. But anyway, that's me, and it goes on and on and on and on. And that's why I believe you have to come at this debate with a pre-existing desire to force the outcome into your certain worldview. Because if you just want to look at the evidence, if you come at it completely with a clean slate and look at the evidence, this is how Shazam came to be. This is how the critics thought about it. This is what the audience thought about it. This is what the studio felt about it. And this is how it did financially. There is no way with a clean, unbiased slate you can approach those facts and go, wow, that movie was a failure. There's just no way you can do it. It makes no logical sense. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. Good. And by the way, no harsh feelings or anything. We're having a good movie argument here, which is great to have, which is one of the most fun things about being film fans. But anyway, that's just the way I see it, and that's how I continue to see it. All right, we move on here. Harry Mudd writes, I don't even know how to pronounce this. By Hans Zimmer is so beautiful. I'll take your word for it. I have no idea which piece of music that is, Harry. I have no idea which piece of music that is. But if it's by Hans Zimmer, I'll take your word for it that it is probably very beautiful. Kevin Lewis writes, do you think a Bionic Man remake pales in comparison to Iron Man, Cyborg, Iron Spidey, etc. and fail? No, I don't. I think there is a way you can do it because not everything has to be that level ridiculous. You do a Bionic Man today. Now, look, I'm not saying a Bionic Man would definitely succeed. And they are in the process of making it. They just attached a new director to it. But you adjust the level of how much suspension of disbelief do you have. That's like saying, well, can you do Luke Cage, who's really strong? Can you do Luke Cage when there's Superman, who's stronger than him? Well, yes, you can. You absolutely can. Can you do a Bionic Man in an MCU? No, probably not. But can you do a Bionic Man and you say, this is a Bionic Man that lives in our world? There are no superheroes. There's no Superman. There's no Iron Man. There's no Spidey. This is a man who is surgically transformed into something else. And he is unique in this world as this. Can that movie work? Absolutely it can. Absolutely it can. You know, Jessica Jones, okay, she's strong, but Wonder Woman's so much stronger. So can a Jessica Jones work? Now, Jessica Jones didn't work for me because I didn't think it was a good I didn't think it was a good show, but it worked for a hell of a lot of people. So yes, absolutely, 100%, a Bionic Man movie can work. Whether it does or doesn't, it's totally up to the quality of the movie and what they do with it. But potentially, can it? 100% it absolutely can. Coolsome XD writes, in my opinion, Toy Story is the best film series of all time. And hey, man, listen, you're not alone. I don't agree, but I think it's up there. I think it's absolutely up there, and I think you absolutely have a case to make for it being there. I, of course, believe it's Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or maybe one or two others, but absolutely Toy Story's in that discussion. Harry Mudd writes, have you seen Nosferatu from 1972? I love that movie. Yes, I have. Not my favorite incarnation of the character, to be honest with you. Absolutely not my favorite incarnation of the character. I think some of the older ones and the newer ones around that are a little bit better, but hey, it stands its test of time. Dimsum05 writes, wonder if any Star Wars / MCU movies will ever drop F-bombs. Yes. I mean, technically speaking, well, no. Even though Disney now owns Fox, the Fox X-Men movies are not in the MCU. They're outside of it because, you know, we've heard F-bombs dropped in the X-Men universe before. Star Wars, no, because that wouldn't make any sense. That would just feel jarring and out of place. MCU, maybe. It depends on how, look, I believe Kevin Feige would drop one, but I don't know that Bob Iger would allow it. But Bob Iger won't always be there. So maybe someday after Bob Iger's gone. Dimsum writes, just peeked in to hear Rob say, what? I don't know what that means. Harry Mudd writes, Big Fish is a good movie, not your standard Tim Burton fare with Ewan McGregor as well. Big Fish isn't bad. Now, I'm not a big Tim Burton film, and I'm a big Tim Burton fan, and I'm not going to say that I think Big Fish is a great movie. I don't think it's a great movie, but I like it more than I do most Tim Burton films. So I'll go, it's not bad. It's certainly incredibly creative and very imaginative. On that, like, you can't take that away from it at all. But yeah, that's one for the list as well. James Bonner sends in a really big super chat. Thank you, James. I appreciate that, man. He writes, this one's for Rob, but unfortunately Rob's not here right now. Thanks for the heads up on the Criterion sale on BNN. I never got Time Bandits, which is so great. We just talked about Time Bandits the other day. For All Mankind, the original 1954 Godzilla, and the French film called Let the Sun Shine In, coming in a few days. Well, I'm sure Rob would be tickled pink, James, to hear that you picked up on all that kind of stuff. There's some great stuff to pick up. And you know what? While I am a guy who, very upfront, I am a digital streaming guy. I'm not a physical media guy anymore. I haven't been a physical media guy for maybe almost 10 years. I'm a digital streaming guy for the most part. But there's going to be a time when maybe your best option to get some of these classics will still be to have them physically. And I'm sure Rob will love to hear, James, that you took advantage of that you jumped on that, and you're going to get some stuff now that other people may have a hard time finding for a while when it comes to streaming stuff because you got a physical copy, and that's a really smart thing to do. Well done, James, and thanks again for the super chat, man. We appreciate the support. Mo Rich Man 300 writes, Happy Canada Day. Thank you so much, and a happy Canada Day again to all my Pats and expats out there. Harry Mudd writes, Hey, Kris, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Listen, seriously, one of the great things about having Kris here, and she's going to be on a couple times a week, and we're going to do a little trial period with Kris, but one of the things I love about her, besides the fact, by the way, that Southern charm, wild kind of energy you see in her, I am telling you, that's her off camera as well. I have met and interviewed with her a number of times now, and I'm telling you, that's her. She's just got this incredible explosive energy. She's a legit movie fanatic. She's at the theater 2-3 times a week. She's got her A-list. But what I really liked about her was the fact that she is so versed in all things anime. And one of the things that I really feel that, is one of my weak spots is anime. And a lot of times you guys will ask questions about anime. So how great would it be to have somebody else on board who can commentate, but not just commentate on anime stories, but also when we're talking about other movie topics, can give examples of anime that apply to it. And I thought she would just be a really good fit that way. So, we're gonna do a trial period for a month, and we'll see how much she likes doing it, and if it works out well, and maybe she'll be around here long term. But I really like having her. I think she's got a great fun energy, and I enjoy being around her. Daniel Lagerstedt just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that, man. DAL writes, did you enjoy watching any of the Stargate shows? I did. I particularly liked Stargate SG-1. Stargate Atlantis was hit and miss for me. I mean, that's where Jason Momoa got his start, basically. And then I can't remember the name of that final Stargate show they did that was kind of with a different cast and everything. I can't remember the name of it. I watched a couple of those, didn't catch me up, but I love Stargate SG-1. Their mythology was way deeper than you might think. It was a really sharp show. I wasn't so big on the final season or two, but that was a long-running show, and I really did enjoy it quite a bit. Sebastian Trulio writes, in South New Jersey, AMC is just meh. Closest Prime is another state. Regal is good. RPX is nice. Great sound. Recliners vibrate. Can't wait for Unlimited. Yeah, this is a cool thing, guys. For everybody who lives around the country in areas where there's not a close AMC, those people have had to sit down and listen to us, people who do live close to AMCs, how great it is to have A-list, right? Meanwhile, they don't live within 20 miles of an AMC theater, and they haven't been able to take advantage of that. It looks like Regal Unlimited is going to be launching here pretty soon. We talked about it on the show the other day. So now all those people, all those film fans across the country, and maybe around the world, are now going to be able to have a membership like AMC A-List for the theaters that are closer to them, whether that's an Alamo or whether that's a Cinemark, or now the second biggest movie theater chain in the world, Regal, is now having theirs. And I'm really excited for people to be able to take advantage of that. So that's really cool. Ryan Lohner writes, never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. What about side by side with a friend? Dude, there's so many lines in Lord of the Rings that would just make you try. Side by side with an elf. I just love the way John Rhys Davies would say elf. I just love the way he talks. What about side by side with a friend? Lord of the Rings, baby. Lord of the frickin' Rings. Oh, one of the... just so many moments of that thing that can just man you up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, guys? Karen D sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Karen. Jacob Silvers writes, are you seeing Far From Home tonight? You know, here's the thing. I got to decide. I might be putting my marriage at risk, though. Let me ask you. Let me talk to you guys. You know, this is so important. Let me bring up the full shot here. Okay. I've got a decision to make tonight, guys. And I'm going to need some help in deciding what to do. Because here's the deal. Ann and I bought our tickets for tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. tomorrow night. That's at the AMC here. But earlier today, I just thought I'd look. Hey, I just wonder if there's any empty seats for Spider-Man tonight at midnight. And I went to the AMC Burbank 16, and there was literally... It was almost like fate. It's like the heavens opened up and went, ah. There was one seat left. And it was not a bad seat either. One seat left in the IMAX theater tonight at midnight at the AMC. And so I used my A-list to secure it. So here's the deal, guys. I've got a ticket, one, for me to go see Spider-Man tonight if I want. So I've got that ticket. Anne will not be happy if I do it. I haven't talked to her about it yet because she's already left for work by the time I got this ticket. Anne will not be super thrilled with me if I go see it tonight before seeing it with her tomorrow. Because I'll still go see it tomorrow regardless, right? So I got to decide how much grief am I willing to take? It's you're weighing, benefit versus cost. Benefit, I get to see Spider-Man tonight. Cost, I might be the recipient of Anne's evil eye for a couple of days. I don't know. I got to figure this out. So I might go see it tonight. I might. I got to figure it out though. I need your advice, guys. Jump down. Should I go see it tonight, or is it the healthier option for me to wait until tomorrow? Let me know what you guys think, but I got to figure this out. So anyway, we're done with the emotional heart-to-heart moment. Now I can bring back up the questions. So let's see. Rob J00 writes, hi all, hope you guys are well. John and Rob, have you seen Kelly's Heroes? It's one of my favorite movies starring Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas. Yes, actually we talked about Kelly's Heroes. I gotta say it was, actually I was gonna say a month ago, but it was probably before we went to CinemaCon. But anyway, we talked about Kelly's Heroes as a matter of fact, and yes, I do indeed love Kelly's Heroes. As a matter of fact, what was the name of the other guy? Hold on a second. Where is it? Because I always freeze on the other guy's name. Don Rickles. I don't know why I always freeze. Don Rickles, Donald Sutherland, Carol O'Connor. My God, Archie Bunker was in there. Gavin McLeod. I mean, it is a stacked cast. It is a stacked cast. Directed by Hutton. Brian Hutton? Brian Hutton. Yeah, I love the film. I think it's great. It's part of a whole, that's a whole genre of films around that era, right? Whether you're talking about Dirty Dozen or you're talking about Kelly's Heroes or whatever, the war stuff around that time was just great and iconic, and I did enjoy it. All right. Frab Nab writes, over under 30%, The Lion King 2019 adds a new song. Oh, I believe they've already confirmed that that's happening. I believe they've already confirmed there's going to be at least one new song in it. So I believe that's a 100% on that, Frab Nab. All right. Final question. Well, almost final question of the day. Hold on a second. Southern Comfort, 1976 writes, I'm about 8 episodes into Doom Patrol. While I'm not sure exactly what the hell I'm watching, it's amazing. Thanks so much for the suggestion. Dude, no, thank everybody else, because I wasn't going to watch it. But it was everybody else in the community here and in the chat and everything that told me I needed to watch Doom Patrol. and I did. And I'm right with you, dude. Sometimes I feel like I have no idea what I'm watching, but this is great. It is so imaginative and creative. It deals with really heavy, deep themes in the most bonkers, ludicrous framework that you can imagine. It's nuts. I cannot believe how good and entertaining this show is. I absolutely adore it. All right, listen, guys. We've got, we're out of time here. We're now over 2 hours. So, but anybody who sent in a super chat that I have not had a chance to answer yet, whether it's Marcus, Robert Johnson, Jeffrey Niven, Connor Farley, whoever, do not worry. I'm going to do a companion video later today. Your question will get answered in a live video a little bit later today in a companion video. But since we're still here, let me just shoot down to see if anybody sent in any particularly big ones that we should address before we end the show here. And we are at, I think I saw one. Yes. Okay. So the last one we're going to talk about today, and don't forget, everybody else, all your questions getting answered a little bit later. Emmanuel Soto Sanchez sends in a big super chat, and he writes, I'm really excited for Neill's Robocop, and he's my favorite director, and I love Chappie. You think Neill can make a comeback with this Robocop, and do you think he still has potential? Good question, Emmanuel, because look, I love District 9. Love it. But as much as I love District 9, I was equally disappointed with both Elysium and Chappie. I did not like Chappie at all. I'm glad you did, though, but I didn't. So I'm not even sure that this RoboCop movie gets made. Straight up, I'm not even sure this RoboCop movie gets made. But if it does, can he make a comeback, and does he still have potential? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, it's not like Neill Blomkamp. Don't look way too much into what I'm saying. Yeah, I was disappointed with 2 movies in a row, but it's not like he's done 9 movies that I hated all of them, right? 2 movies. He's made 3. One of them I think was fantastic. 2 of them not so much. Does he still have potential? Absolutely he does. Absolutely. Just look at District 9. Of course, you got to be blind not to see the potential there. So can he make a big comeback? Yes. If RoboCop gets made, and that's a big if, but if RoboCop gets made and it's great, and that's another big if it gets made and if it's great, absolutely his name is right back on the leaderboard. His name is right back in the conversation. Absolutely, 100%. Whether that will happen or not, I have my doubts. I have my doubts that it's going to get made at all, and then we'll see how it turns out once it does. But it can happen. It can happen. Absolutely believe that, and we'll be cheering them on along the way. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, guys, to all of you who had super chats sent in, do not worry. They're getting answered in a video today. Keep your eyes open for the upcoming companion video. Of course, special thanks to Rob and Kris for being here today, and a special thank you to you guys for being here and being a part of the film fan community. Love having you guys here. Love being a part of it. And I always look forward to tomorrow. And speaking of which, don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Me, Robert, and Aaron Cummings will be on the show tomorrow. So join us for all the stuff we're going to talk about then. That'll do it for now, guys. My name's John Campea. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, bye-bye.